Black students were cast as slaves in New York. Teacher mocks auction, state fines. You know I'm gonna say that again. Black students were cast as slaves in New York. Teacher mocks auction, state fines. A private school teacher. Florida teacher allegedly writes, what the fuck is this? On students' homework. You know I'm gonna say that again. Florida teacher allegedly writes, what the fuck is this? On students' homework. Being black in Nazi Germany. You know I'm gonna say that again. Being black in Nazi Germany. This story was done May the 21st, 2019, coming from the BBC News. Under the caption of the picture says,
Next question, Senator. On implementation of your first big idea on the gender pay gap, not everyone works for a corporation. And hey.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin is the first city in the country to declare racism a public health crisis, and they're asking other cities to do the same. The county's executive says that it's the first step in addressing decades of race-based inequality. Milwaukee was named the most segregated city in the U.S. by the Census Bureau in 2017. And the county is also home to the most incarcerated zip code in the country. The resolution is reportedly meant to make racial equality a core element of the city. So joining...
Emmanuel Aranda told a judge that he had nothing to say before he was sentenced to 19 years in prison. Aranda pleaded guilty last month to throwing a 5-year-old boy off a third-floor balcony at the Mall of America in Minnesota, nearly killing him. Prosecutors read an emotional victim impact statement from the...
Tonight, 2 Charlotte Smoothie Kings are shut down after customers noticed racist names added on their receipts. In one case, the N-word. On another, the name Jackie Chan. NBC Charlotte Savannah Levin spoke to those victims and corporate. She joins us now with the details of what happened. Savannah?
Technology should only be used if any biases associated with the software can be avoided, according to a Metropolitan Police ethics panel. The report says it must be shown that the technology should not import gender and racial discrimination into policing operations, and that it must have more than a marginal benefit to counteract any potential trust issues with the public. The panel
Living While Black has taken off on social media as videos have surfaced of these incidents from LA to Portland where people seem to be calling police simply based on a person's skin color. And as the LA Times is reporting, there's been a push now to go after these callers.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4 police officers here.
Last April, cell phone and police cam video from Rialto got national attention when it showed officers questioning a group of black people who were checking out of their Airbnb rental. A neighbor had called 911 reporting a possible burglary.
Do you have your rental?
Next tonight here to the alarming scene, a Lyft driver attacked here in New York City by a passenger he was taking to the hospital. The man apparently angry he wasn't driving fast enough. It is difficult to watch and there is an investigation now. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
It's about 10 minutes.
An impatient...
This is shocking.
This is leaked City Pod Cam video of a mother carrying her 1-year-old who's about to be shot and killed. We are stopping the video before she's shot.
Hundreds of men are accusing their former Boy Scout leaders of sexually abusing them. Many of the men are revisiting these traumatic experiences decades later after a restrictive statute of limitations in New York was modified. Many have recently enlisted legal counsel and are suing the Boy Scouts of America. Now, we should mention we reached out to the Boy Scouts of America for comment. This is what they said. We are outraged that there have been times when individuals took advantage of our programs to abuse innocent children. We believe victims. We support them. We pay for counseling by a provider of their choice, and we encourage them to come forward.
Welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Mind, and welcome to the Black Minds News live broadcast. For those who should be catching it live, I know, Mr. Blow Your Mind, you the hardest show to catch, and I don't show what day you come on. It kind of is, I guess, it's sporadic. You know, we can't really kind of get a daily review because, again, I'm fighting so many things. But first and foremost, I want to say for those who should be in the house, who should be a subscriber, what's good, fans, subscribers, and what's that, passerbys. If you should just be happy to pass by, this is the first time seeing the show. This is what we do, Black Minds News over here. We don't discriminate, but we do tell it like a TI is. And what we'll do here is we'll relate some of the news that should be happening on the daily around the world. And we will disseminate it from a black commentary aspect. And, you know, as a passerby, what you could do, go down the aisle, like a library we got back here, see some things you might like. If you should see something you don't like, hit that dislike button. What I do is I have a supervisor come out. Maybe they could have tuck a couple, spit a little syllables to you. Maybe we can get you to return on the next time and get you to like on the next time. Okay, so we want to thank you. And before I get going, I got to get into my spiel, which is welcome to the Black Minds News. I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Mind. And again, this is Black Minds News, and I am your host. This show is to articulate, insinuate, decode, unveil, spread the news, whether it's by news, video, websites, or quotes from publications. As I, your whiteologist, disseminate this information, I ask that the creator of the universe be here, heart, soul, mind, and spirit. Because why? The truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created the so-called greatest land on the planet Earth, as a descendant of ADOS for some, BADOS by myself and others, we give honor to our ancestors. And you know what my motto is? I'm never going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. All right, fam, for those again, I know I'm trying my hardest to be on the daily, but I ain't going to talk about it, I'm just going to be about it, right? So I want to thank you for those who should be happening in the house. And got a nice little show today. You know what I'm saying? There's always something going on in this land that we call the United States, as well as the bubble in itself, which is the globe. And so what I see is I always disseminate and see certain things that are topics that need to be, you know, unveiled. Because again, you know, some people feel like we're not supposed to be looking at the aspects of race. And they say, well, race is a construct. It's not real. Well, it is real depending on what shoes you walking on. And then there's some people who have the ideal about not having any kind of, let's say, we're not going to pay no attention to that because then that'll, I guess, hinder my progression in life. So I don't focus on it. But just because you don't focus on it don't mean that it don't have no relevance in your life. And so it's incumbent on us, of those who have lived prior before those who are coming, to disseminate this information, to try to unveil it for them so that they can have a better understanding of the obstacles of life as being a person of color and how you should tread. Because see, that is one thing that it seems like I hear some people watching other shows, and they'll say that talking about racism is one of those things that is best not talked about so that, again, it doesn't hinder you in life. But let's say information that you do not know, and then you walking around here and everybody else know the game but you, then aren't you a victim of the circumstance that other people are putting upon you? So think about that. Think about what I just said. Isn't it incumbent on you, those who walk as BADOS, ADOS, Black, African Americans, Africans, whatever diaspora you come from, isn't it our job to make sure that those who come behind us or who are family with us must understand that the traps, the obstacles, the nets, the www of this planet must know. Now, we can't be racist because of the simple fact that we may talk about these kind of things. For those who may think that you're dwelling on racism, Wait a minute. Again, I am a descendant of that which history talks about. Again, some people say they had the biggest atrocities in human history. I beg your pardon. No, my people have. And it's incumbent on me as a spirit that the Creator has given me to do this. Now let's get into this. Before we get into all that. Now, what I'm going to say is this. Now I've seen this here. It's kind of election season, right? Now keep all that in mind, right? Because again, she was hot in the topic at one time, right? And I'm pretty sure people got to say, because again, I've been delayed a little bit because I haven't been out here doing what I'm supposed to do on a daily due to the fact it is hard for me to keep getting these shows out here because again, there's a lot of unforeseen occurrences that continue to happen. But there's one day I shall reveal all that if time be given. So I seen this here. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the show with this here. Set it up for you right quick. And, it's going to be very self-explanatory. I appreciate everybody that's seen it. So what it is, I'm going to go ahead. It was something that happened in California, and let me go ahead and show this right quick, and we shall be right back.
Next question, Senator. On implementation of your first big idea on the gender pay gap, not everyone works for a corporation. Yes. And a big... Hey.
Hello. Okay. Hi. Whoa. Wait a minute, sir.
Asking for your attention to a much bigger idea than...
Thank you so much, sir, for your big idea. But we want to make sure that we are able to get through this. Okay, it's okay, folks. It's okay. People have their own big ideas. They have their own big ideas. Yeah. But we also want to make sure that we are being respectful to our folks that have come here to speak to us.
You just gotta be respectful.
Here's what we're going to do.
Folks that are coming out here.
Yeah, we want that ass back.
You're good. We need a mic. We need a microphone. We need a mic. All right.
Don't worry. I'm so sorry about that.
That's all right.
Give it up. Give it up for Senator Patel.
Woo!
You had a question, and I want to answer. You have a question.
Yes.
Big ideas for him.
Yes. Okay, we're going to actually go to a Move On member question, which is from Ryan from South Carolina, who asks, what steps would you take to gain and protect the rights and lives of all LGBTQ people?
All right, so we're back, right? So we seen that there was Kamala Harris out there, right? Normally I would do it. I'm going to go ahead and do some live reading today. So it was talking about the protesters grabbed mic from Kamala Harris during a Move On forum, right? It says as a protester rushed on stage Saturday during a Move On Big Idea forum in San Francisco and grabbed the microphone from 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Senator Kamala Harris. The man tried to say he wanted attention for a much bigger ideal before he was led off stage. Harris pushed equal pay as her big idea during the forum. As she was discussing student loans for black students, the protesters walked up and interrupted her, causing her to leave the stage as staffers and even her husband, Doug Emhoff, tried to remove the man. After he was escorted off the stage, Harris returned the chants of Kamala, Kamala. Harris quickly picked up where the panel left off, saying, you have a question and I want to answer it, to the moderators who asked her about crime statistics. Protesters was identified as Aiden Cook by animal rights organization Direct Action Everywhere, which is DXE, which issued a press release shortly after the incident. After the incident, Emhoff tweeted his gratitude for the kind notes and wrote, we are good. Move On, meanwhile, tweeted an apology to Harris. We sincerely regret that a protester was able to gain access to the stage at our forum today. Move On wrote, we sincerely regret that a protester was able to gain access to the stage at our forum today. We apologize. The protester was removed and program resumed. Move On members were excited to hear Harris continue to discuss her big ideals. Now it goes on and talks about those are, okay, a little bit more. It just says about lawmakers in deep blue California and so forth. All right, so again, what you seen on the video there, right? You seen that Kamala Harris there, right? Got accosted by, somebody who decided to come up out the stand and had something that, again, he wanted to say, right? Here, again, they try to downplay. Oh, he got a big idea. And when he came up on that stage, that first he jumped. She jumped up out her skin, right? Kamala, should I show y'all that? I got that picture, boy. Did you see her face? Let me see if I can pull that. Let me see if I can pull it up for you. Oh, yeah, that just happened right here. Look at this. Let me show you something. Look at that face, man. Huh? Check that face out, man. You see her face? Oh, she thought she was about to get it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, she thought she was about to get it. You know what I'm saying? Bearded white man coming up there, walking up on the stage, and look who up there. The sister. The sister up there doing all the protecting. Hey. Right? Where's security at? What was his name? M. Hall, her husband? Him slow, right? Him real slow, right? So, again, not to make any light of the fact, but you see that face, man. That face shows terror. And that's what it is. See, when you work in these capacities where you do legislations and laws and you affecting people's life on the daily, as long as you don't get confronted by people, that thing's smooth, everything's sweet. But boy, don't happen to get somebody who knows you and get across you. It could get ugly. And so all the things that was running in her mind was right there. You could see it in her face, right? Now, again, my man didn't come up there to do no bodily harm. I guess he was just trying to time it when it's in your hand. And again, some people do some things. Again, they have their significance of why they do it. He's probably animal rights. I don't know what they got to do with this whole aspect. But again, it was a scary situation for her. And look what happened. My man was up there. But look, let me give you something else here. Let me give you the racial aspect to it. Do you think Mr. Blow Your Minds could have ran up on that stage, grabbed that mic from Kamala, and I would have got 20 to their head by everyone in there? You understand? They'd have been up on that stage so quick, right? They was kind of very apprehensive. You understand? Very apprehensive as to run up on the white man. Because he know him crazy like that, right? Him come up gap on everybody, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it would have been. So again, we have to look at the fact of this, right? Now, again, everybody out here campaigning, it's getting hot out there. There's about 495 delegates that they're trying to get up in California. I think March 3rd is going to be that Super Tuesday. And they talking about, I think that John Hickenlooper came out there and he started talking about socialism is not the answer, and he got booed. See, Joe Biden didn't even show up. He was like, fuck that, I'm going to Ohio because I ain't going to be trying to see that kind of shit right there. See, you pick your fights. You know what I'm saying? Based on the kind of legislation and shit that your ass be doing, you ain't trying to be putting yourself to get not so much as confronted, physical, but just the fact that there's a possibility and people are hostile to a lot of things that you actually advocate for. And you could just see that in the fear in her face, right? And so we see that the husband, after all that had been said and done, he the one going to tweet talking about the gratitude for the kind notes. Nah, but you was slow. If my man was a mercenary assassin, you know what I'm saying? She needed the bodyguard. You understand? She needed the movie The Bodyguard. Whitney had, what's his name? Kevin Costner, right? Even Kevin Costner ran, dove his ass up there. You know what I'm saying? Nah, he was kind of hesitant his damn self. He was like sitting back, you know what I'm saying? He ain't want to make that move. He ain't about that. So Kamala, you got a chance to see your man in action. He might have failed the prize. So, but anyway, that's how it happened for those who didn't see it. But again, my whole thing is it seems like this whole campaign thing has all switched from the fact that it used to, at one point, it was a hot moment. Remember when she first came out, she came out the gate. Then the questionability about her blackness and advocating for blackness, she tried to make, then all that stuff fell out. And then about reparations, and the whole thing has turned since then. No one is really talking about reparations anymore. And so everything is trying not to have that conversation. Some people saying that Joe Biden is out here saying directly that he's going for the LGBTQ. That's his group. And I got things that I've read with Kamala where other people saying, well, she's ours, which is people who are black Americans who she kind of fall into the immigrant. So it's like everybody's trying to get away from dealing with the black American issue. But if you're trying to win, You trying to dethrone somebody, we just going to wait it out. Oh, we going to be there. We going to see you. Don't worry about it. The time going to come. So, that was the Kamala Harris debacle over there in California, right? The scared, the come to Jesus moment, when you just seen your life flash because you didn't know what was going to happen and he was that close. He could smell what perfume you had on, what deodorant you had on. He was that close. He was he could smell the gum you was chewing, Yeah. Right? So, they're going to change the format up a little bit. But again, all it is opportunity, right? What they say, air and opportunity. And it was there. It caught you, what they say, slacking. Moving on. So, what else I got in the bag? Let me go on here and do this. This here I seen as to, well, should I go here? I'll go that one after this. I'm going to go here. Well, yeah, I can't go there. Let's see. Well, this here. Well, I seen this here. Let's go here. Now, again, like I said in the beginning, about racism, right? You know what I'm saying? That, it's incumbent on us. And again, I know a lot of people have, that's wasted so much time on racism. We're all just one people. Well, I guess now, as time is constantly moving, people are now trying to get out of the race game due to the simple fact, demographics is changing, people's position as into, learning the game is different now. And so, people who owned at one time when it was the majority of them having, everything, what they say and what it goes it's not totally being eradicated. It's just being chipped away at, right? And so I guess as you look as a foregone conclusion down the line, you must say that we better start making some headways. For those who have a somewhat of a heart to do change, those who are going to be steadfast, well, whatever the plan was, we're moving forward, right? So I seen this story here, and this was in the city of Milwaukee. Now, everybody was kind of, those who were in the NBA was thinking Milwaukee, but Milwaukee was a two side to that, right? You had the, basketball, right? And you seeing brothers, so they kind of represent, in a sense, they think it's blackness, right? But the city in itself is struggling with a lot of, racial things and just the disparity that happens to us as black Americans in this country. So this individual here did something that I thought that was a little bit interesting. So I'm going to show it to y'all just in case you didn't see it. Check this out, and we shall be right back.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin is the first city in the country to declare racism a public health crisis, and they're asking other cities to do the same. The county's executive says that it's the first step in addressing decades of race-based inequality. Milwaukee was named the most segregated city in the U.S. by the Census Bureau in 2017, and the county is also home to the most incarcerated zip code in the country. The resolution is reportedly meant to make racial equality a core element of the city. So joining me now is the chair and associate professor of social work at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, Dr. David Pate. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
So racism has been called a lot of things, a social ill, economically debilitating, a public health crisis. How is this different?
This is different because what the city of Milwaukee has decided to do is that it's saying that we have to attend to the historical issues that have plagued the city of Milwaukee for some time, that being poor education, poor employment, and poor housing. And therefore also, when you look at health equity, you're looking at the whole idea of providing everyone access to the services they need in order for them to be able to be full and contributing citizens in the city as well.
So access to good education, access to good health care, these are sort of ongoing issues that I'm sure the city of Milwaukee has tried to tackle before. But putting it under the umbrella of a public health crisis, does that change the approach?
I think it does, because what Commissioner Abley has done, which I really applaud him on, is that he's saying we now have to make a conversation about what race really has meant for our country, for our state in particular, and for our city. We want to take it as a public policy issue, but also a policy issue that decides we're going to have a conversation. We're going to decide now that employees have to attend to this issue that has affected people for so long.
Yeah, I think sometimes when we talk about racism, we talk about sort of racial issues, especially now. You know, we talk about perhaps, I don't know, a police issue that happened, or, you know, perhaps something in the school system with a teacher that happened. But we don't often connect the dots, how one thing leads to another, how if you don't have access to, I don't know, good housing, then you may not be able to get to work on time, and how that may have an impact on your income, and how this is sort of broader than isolated incidents. Do you think that sort of putting it in the category of a public health crisis, it makes it more than just an issue for minorities who may be the victims of racism, and an issue for the entire society?
Oh, you're definitely right. When we deal with this as an issue that's a societal issue as well as a city issue, when everyone's public health is good, or when everyone has access to the services they need, we all benefit. We all benefit because we don't all have to deal with the issues that plague and may be somewhat of a deterrent to people being successful. We want everyone to pay their taxes. We want everyone to go to school. We want everyone to be a working and contributing member of society. And also what we have seen is that when you don't deal with it as a public health issue, there's an issue around your life expectancy, in terms of we're able to document, or has been documented, that people lose about 12 years of their life in 2 separate zip codes within the city of Milwaukee. And we want to be able to deal with that. And I really applaud Commissioner Abley for deciding to come out and say this is an issue that is a public health issue.
So what is structural racism?
Structural racism is when you have a lack of access to services that are historically available to everyone else in your community, such as Milwaukee has historically always been very segregated. Therefore, people cannot live in certain neighborhoods and have some of the same benefits that you and I may have being middle-class families or being a middle-class person, in order for us to be able to do that. And also, structural racism is not based on prejudice, but is based on race. It's not, when I look at you based on how I identify you by your race, I tend to receive you and accept you in a different way. Therefore, it's more structured, and it's historical. There's been many a study about, not many, but there's been some studies more recently that have shown this. And also, this whole idea of racism as a public health issue comes from the Harvard School of Public Health. Their Public Health Review did a wonderful issue on this in 2015, as well as the American Public Health Association has now declared that racism is a public health issue. So therefore, when you look at it as a structural issue, they're saying let's deal with the issues of discrimination and depression and oppression as well.
Milwaukee is hoping that this will be of national concern. They're pushing for a national health crisis to be declared. You know, at a time where, you know, the 2020 election candidates, some of them are talking about reparations and reform within the criminal justice system, as well as other types of reform. Could you see this conversation becoming a nationwide conversation, something that could be on the national agenda?
Oh, definitely. And one of the things that's really good about this conversation coming in Milwaukee right now is because Milwaukee will be the home of the Democratic Convention. There's always been already a lot of conversations that have been happening around this conversation of reparations, as well as looking at health access increasing through various other scholars besides myself, like Derek Hamilton and Sandy Darity, and so many other people have been bringing this up. But the baby bond discussion has been continuing as well. So there's been a lot of information, a lot of discussion around how do we look at equity as an issue for those who have not been able to take advantage of all the wonderful things that America offers to people. Yeah, I think what I like the most about this declaration, this sort of approach, is that just like poor water or poor air quality, it relies on everyone to help to solve the problem. That just because you're not the victim of it doesn't mean it's not a problem for you. Just because you have access to clean water in your neighborhood doesn't mean you shouldn't also lobby for clean water across the city or across the county. I like this approach. Yes. And one thing that's interesting about this approach as well is that Milwaukee County is a county that's surrounded by, Milwaukee is surrounded by counties that have 4 times less the poverty that Milwaukee has. What's going to be the telling factor about this is how does that embrace this concept that has now been put out there that racism is a public health issue. So I think it'll be really interesting looking forward to document and to follow the fact that we're looking at how social determinants of health, that being access to housing, education, employment, what difference does it make around making people's lives much better in the future? Right, definitely. Very interesting stuff. Dr. David Pate, thank you so much. Thank you very much as well.
It talks about Milwaukee County declares racism a public health crisis. Will more cities follow suit? You know I'm going to say that again. Milwaukee County declares racism a public health issue or crisis. Will more cities follow suit? This story was done, looks like it was back in May 21st, 2019. It says, in what's being touted as an important first step in addressing decades of race-based inequalities, Milwaukee County Executive Chris Abel signed a resolution Monday declaring racism a public health crisis. Everybody has been reading and hearing about the same set of statistics in Milwaukee for decades. Abel said at yesterday's signing, according to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. He went on to cite the county's racial disparity in employment, education, incarceration, income, and access to capital. The resolution isn't just about a public commitment to taking action, said Abel, but it is designed to foreground race equity in all areas of county decisions, on top of accessing internal policies and procedures to make sure racial equity is a core element of the country. The resolution also vows to explicitly advocate for policies that improve the health of communities of color and offer training that expands employees' understanding of how racism affects people. It is Milwaukee's county responsibility to address racism, including seeking solutions to reshape the discourse, actively engaging all citizens in racial justice work. Abel said, local government needs to take a leadership role, and we intend to do so. Various studies have confirmed the myriad ways race can impact health. There are issues like access to health care and how black patients are treated by health care providers, but there is also data showing that even routine day-to-day discrimination, receiving poor service at a restaurant or shop, or, for example, managing a relationship with a biased boss, or dealing with the regular microaggression at work, can over time lead to more rapid development in heart disease. Pregnant women who report experiencing high levels of discrimination are also more likely to give birth to babies who are lower in birth weights, which could be a major health risk for child. Some of Milwaukee's statistics are certainly dire. County Board Vice Chairwoman Marcella Nicholson, who joined Abel at the signing on Monday, referenced the zip code she grew up in, 53206, as the most incarcerated zip code in the country. Fox 6 News reports, and Milwaukee County Office on African American Affairs Director Nicole Brookshire flagged issues with high death and infant mortality rates, housing segregation, and lack of prenatal care as ongoing concerns for the county. But rather than sign of all that's gone wrong in Milwaukee County, the acknowledgement of racism as a public health crisis could be more indicative of the county's doing something right. The best evidence of that prior to yesterday's resolution may be the Office of African American Affairs itself, founded in 2016. Through the office, all Milwaukee County leaders have been trained on racial equity, reports the Milwaukee Independent, with another 4,000 employees expected to be trained in 2019. The county is also in the process of incorporating a racial equity lens into its budget decisions, the paper writes. Lastly, it's imperative that we do the work to heal Milwaukee's racial wounds. We'll be on the right side of history as we rewrite the text for what it means to grow up as a Milwaukeean. Nichols said at yesterday's signing, we cannot rest until every citizen is treated with dignity and respect, and this resolution is a step in that direction. Now, that was the article that was read, that I was given to you. Now, we see that Milwaukee is trying to, again, let's say it like this. Some people can see what the hell is going on, right? You can see the disparity. You can see the difference between those that are have and the have-nots and the so-called, what they say, you need $300,000 to be black to be considered rich, right? They ain't rich on the other side of the spectrum, but being black, it don't take you 300,000. Everybody else, according to statistics, is basically don't have no generational wealth, nothing to pass on, and really don't got no money. Period. Now, that's because you see some people going to the store and buying stuff, but we just talking about collectively as a group. See, individually, people can, that's their problem. They didn't, work as hard and, do what I did to, get to the level I'm at. But again, as a group, see, a fist versus hand and fingers, right? And so what we see is that Milwaukee is trying to do something legislatively like resolution, and think that this could be maybe the spark of something that they could go from, city to city, county to county, state to state. Now, again, that's kind of commendable in the simple fact that, again, we know the disparity that's happening out here. But some people will say just because, well, I may live in a district or county and those statistics don't show where I'm at, well, let's look at who we talking about demographically. And then maybe we could say, well, of course, you understand? You come from generational wealth. A lot of everybody want to say they just got here, but we know that if the people who are black American descendants of slaves, the descendants out here, then the people who, again, the transaction and the whole aspect about how that whole history took place, well, many of you are still here. And that money is still here. And that money has grown and built and families have spread, and we still in the condition. Now, I ain't going to say all of us because everybody ain't in the condition like Mr. Blows Your Mind, right? Some of y'all a little too bougie for this, right? You got, you got your little degree and everything, but you ain't looking at everybody else, right? You Pookie Ray Ray, right? So we see that according to what the brother was talking about in here, he was saying that racism as a crisis, a health crisis, due to, say, the racial disparities in employment, think about it. There's a certain way when you come in, if you get an interview, right? You got to, remember the old thing, you got to dress better, you got to look better, smell better, look better, smarter, right? And you go in there and sell yourself to try to get the job. And even though you get the job, you know what you don't be knowing? How much your counterpart, those people who might be white, Chinese, and what they get. See, you never had it. It's kind of like, that is like taboo. That is something to not even talk about on the job, about how much you make. Whatever you're negotiating, what you got was fair, square dealing. But I've seen where people come in and they say, this is what I'm going to take. And they get the job. And I'm like, damn. When my people came in here, they just say, well, what the job pays, right? Think about what the job pays versus somebody come in and say, well, this is what I want, right? And you know what I'm talking about when I say demographic. This people versus that people, they get with that, but you get the low end of it. So based on that struggle economically, you never quite enough nose still getting water, like say try to keep your nose above water, but what end up happening is water getting in your nose and you kind of, you choking a little bit, because the water getting in your nose. Just enough to keep you alive, That doesn't cause any crisis in your health, psychologically, spiritually, physically, and everything else. Educationally, because of the condition that a lot of us live in. We live in dilapidated areas. Again, I'm going to say it here one more time. Ghettos where black folks live are created by white folks, because black folks don't own nothing. So the places that they live in is by white folks who are slumlords, who don't put no money into the community. And then if again, in real estate, they're not forced to because there is no value in it, right? Why would I put $6,000 to upkeep in there when they say the value over it, let's say my value is only $4,000. I would be losing money. So they're not forced to do it. But then, the stigmatization say, well, you niggas, look how you living. You're tearing up the building. Well, no. Where's the landlord aspect of it? Right? When do you become responsible about your upkeep? Well, if you're going to put some money, you're going to make the rent so I can't live there. See, catch-22 right there, right? So we know because of us have to live in certain environments. Some of us are all not street, right? Everybody ain't street. So sometimes you got to live in environments, again, sometimes they get certain names that sound like war zones, and then you got to keep going through the obstacles just to and fro to try to work, make sure the kids safe, everything. But on the day, what does that do to you mentally? Right? What does that do to you mentally? So incarceration, so we already know about that. We understand how legislation came up with the crime bill in 94, locking mothers up because, again, it was big business. What did Gordon Gekko say? Greed is good, right? So, again, the little stipulation in the so-called emancipating you, and then coming with the amendment that said, but if you should get locked up, you become a slave again. So somebody had the grandiose idea and said, well, if we lock them up, we can get all the free labor we want. So it became business. You know that last video I did when they gave you the history of how they created the, you know what I'm talking about, for the private prisons and how that whole history came about that. So again, having a mindset of being a black person, knowing that at any point in time, you could be accosted by something, get a case on you, don't got the money to fight it, sitting up in jail. You know what I'm saying? Does that have anything to do with your health? And it breeds a crisis. Milwaukee got a point here, right? So then we have to look at the simple fact. Was the other part? I think the other part they talked about said about education, employment, incarceration, income, access to capital. Well, to have income, you got to have a job. Now, when we look at statistically about unemployment with black folks, well, you ain't going to have no income. If it wasn't for most of our sisters, right, they probably wouldn't be there. I mean, you know what I'm saying? A lot of you got the money. A lot of brothers don't got no money. And then because of that disparity in their income, it's kind of hard to have a relationship because now, you know what I'm saying? It be like that. Right? So what kind of, it breeds in that. It breeds a whole kind of dynamic. So just imagine. Now again, sisters, again, this is not separating saying you not part of this. But as a black man, again, going through that. Now again, that's not going to fit everyone. Because everybody said, well, I got to hustle. You know what I'm saying? Now I'll do what I got to do. Okay, but then there's some of us who fall in that, who do all right, who not going to give the system to try to get no time, but we still fall in the motherfucking crack. So you dealing with all this. So there's ain't no health crisis on us. And they minimize by talking about decades. Us, only decades. No decades. This shit been going for hundreds of years, right? Access to capital, what is that? Access to capital? Right. So we see that, they believe that the public commitment to taking action would be good for Milwaukee. The race equity in all areas of the county decision will have that on the mind. Now, these are good things to just lay on the table, right? We're going to lay that on the table because, again, it sounds good. But as into application to it and how it fruition and how that's going to be disseminated, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a politician. He going to promise you the world. He get the job. But his job ain't based on the simple fact of getting you because, again, his constituents got to vote for it. It ain't like he could just come in and get some. That's why so many of y'all been let down when you was putting all your hope and crying in Obama. There were some things he might have done. But there was a lot of things that it seemed like everybody else got that was more tangible that could be seen and readily felt and affects immediately to the things that we're sitting here talking about that we're still kind of waiting, kind of like a kid sitting in the window, daddy probably come picking him up. He looking in the window. Every car driver, that ain't daddy. That ain't daddy. Boy, done fell down asleep waiting on daddy. Daddy ain't show up. Daddy ain't called. Little boy that fell, mama done put blanket or some sheet around his back. Come on, baby, take you to bed. He still gonna come. Little boy don't know. So grow up. What happens when he grow up like that? Get angry, right? So, talking about the resolution, the vows to explicitly advocate for policy that improves the health communities of colors and offer training that expands employees. It's not about training. You could train mugs all day if you ain't got no job to go to. You ain't got no, right? Helping the community. The community is dilapidated to the end. There's no income. There's no jobs. There's nothing but poverty. So, you can't eradicate that until you eradicate the fact that you can, again, everybody know that poverty is connected to, right, income or lack thereof, accessibility to, have employment, right? And due to our position historically, what happened to us, then again, we understand why we in the position we in, right? But everybody else want to act like they don't know why. That some magically, no, we did it, but you don't see the obstacles that we go through. So Milwaukee seems like it's trying to do something on the aspect of a legislation where trying to build something. Again, the brother spoke of some things, the Darity and them. That was ADOS, right? The things he was talking about those people, well, a lot of them people are part of the, the economists and things of that, as into the statistics and stuff about what's going on with the reparations, right? So how do you mend this situation? It's going to have to be on the aspect of remedy those people. The game been playing for 400 years, and now we're going to try to do something to make up, and say, well, children are the future. Wait a minute. I'm living right now. Huh? Now, this ain't being selfish. What I'm saying is, wait a minute. For the time I've been on this planet, I've been struggling too. So only somebody coming in right now, the way that these children today are not having children due to the fact that they know they ain't got no money. So what you building, what future for what money to do what with? See, it's a game. It's a game. It's a game. All right, so I'll say my brother out there, Mr. Spencer 620, what's good to you as well, sir? Glad to see you in here. Right? So they talking about they got the American Affairs, Office of Affairs. They founded in 2016. Gonna, 4,000 employees, expect to train them by this year, 2019. Okay. See, everybody want to do this equality training and try. Wait a minute, man. We in 2019. We still training people on how to deal with black folks in 2019. Ain't no change. But we said it's been changed, and things have changed from it was in the 30s to the 50s to the 70s. We still train people on how to be diversity training. Right. Okay. Whatever y'all say, right? We're going to go whatever you say. All right, so I want to bring that to y'all. That's what happened up there in Milwaukee, that they decide that they is trying to bring some, light to the fact that they say they want to classify racism as a health crisis. See, when we was dealing with crack, never heard the word crisis. But when they talked about meth, it's a crisis. So I guess the only way you could get somebody to look at it, so you got to put the word crisis to try to get some kind of funding. Maybe that's part of the game. I don't know. Maybe that's how they doing it. Okay. So in the case, let's go on with this racism aspect here, right? What's up, y'all? Kabil Kabay. What's good, sir? 1619 to 2019, same old song. It's all around the world, same song. It's just the same old song, right, Kabir? It don't change, right? But what's changing is, if you notice on this YouTube, it's hard to find mugs talking these days, isn't it? It's getting harder because it's getting closer to the time, they don't want their togetherness. They're trying to break that up. But you're right about that, son. So check this out. Again, on the racist tip, I seen this here. This is a story. And then I come right back. Check this out right quick. Check this out. Black students were cast as slaves in New York. Teacher mocks auction, state fines. I'm going to say that again. Black students were cast as slaves in New York. Teacher mocks auction, state fines. A private school teacher in Westchester County placed imaginary chains on black students' necks, wrists, and ankles and urged white classmates to bid on them. This story is coming out of the NBC News. And it looks like this story was done on, don't say the date. Why doesn't it say the date? Oh, there it goes. May 29, 2019. And this is what it says. Mock slave auction at a private school in Bronxville, New York, in which white students were urged by a 5th grade teacher to bid on black classmates, had a profoundly negative effect on the children, a state investigation found. The New York State Attorney General Office on Wednesday announced its findings in the probe into the incident in March at the Chapel School and said the school has agreed to diversify its staff and student body. The school enrolls students in pre-kindergarten through 8th grade, 43% of whom are minorities, according to the school. As part of the agreement, the school must hire a chief diversity officer approved by State Attorney General Letitia James. Every young person, regardless of race, deserves a chance to attend school free of harassment, bias, and discrimination, James said in a statement. Lessons designed to separate children on the basis of race have no place in New York classroom or in classrooms throughout this country. I thank the Chapel School for agreeing to take measures that directly address the issue of race, diversity, and inclusion at the school. In March, the mother of a student at the school in Westchester County, about 15 miles north of Manhattan, said a white teacher allowed white students to bid on and buy black students who were to pretend to be slaves. James said Wednesday that her office investigation found that in 2 separate 5th grade social study classes, teacher asked all of the African American students to raise their hands and then instruct them to exit the classroom and stand in the hallway. The teacher then placed imaginary chains or shackles on these students' necks, wrists, and ankles and had them walk back into the classroom. At that point, the teacher instructed the African American students to line up against the wall and then proceeded to conduct a simulated auction of the African American students in front of the rest of the class. The investigation found that the teacher's reenactment in the 2 classes had a profoundly negative effect on all the students present, especially the African American students and the school committee at large, James said. Following the reenactment, the school terminated the teacher's employment. The investigation further revealed prior parental complaints to school administrators about the school's alleged lack of racial sensitivity and found that the school did not take sufficient steps to address the complaints, James said. The investigation found that families had previously made complaints related to, among other things, unequal discipline of students on the basis of race and lack of racial sensitivity and awareness in school curricula, and a lack of diversity among the teaching faculties, James said. Under the agreement, the school must develop and submit a staff diversification plan for increasing minority representation among faculty and retain a diversity consultant for help educating students and school employees about racial and ethnic diversity in the educational setting. The school, where annual tuition costs up to $14,000, agreed to commit new financial aid to increase diversity in its student body. It will also submit a new code of conduct to the Attorney General's office for addressing racial and ethnic discrimination and harassment, as well as other prohibited behaviors. Additionally, the school is required to create a formal complaint procedure for students or parents to report harassment or discrimination. The school told NBC News on Wednesday that it took immediate corrective action after the March 5th incident. Principal Michael Schultz said the school accepted responsibility for the state's findings and is committed to implementing its agreement. Chapel School reached a timely resolution with the Attorney General to ensure that our focus remains on the well-being of our community as we move forward and continue reflection, action, and growth, the school said. All right. So we see that black students were cast as slaves in New York. Teacher mocks auction, state fines. So we see that the teacher had an idea that it would be a good idea that, again, I'm going to try to teach the little Negroes in my classroom about, let's say, history. Right? So what we're going to do, kids, is we're going to reenact slaves. Okay, white kids here, you guys are going to be the owners. You're going to be the slave owners, okay? And y'all little black kids, okay, what you going to do? Come on, we're going to put some chains on your feet and your hand. And, okay, Okay, you're gonna go in the hallway. I'm gonna bring you in. I can't make it naked though, right? I can't do that part. I do everything, but I can't make it naked. But we're gonna put on these little shorts and stuff. All right, we're gonna try this. Okay, come on, we can put on this and can pick your hair and make an afro today. Can we do that too? Okay, let's do that too. All right, so we're gonna come in and then Tommy, David, Sue, Shirley, you guys are going to bid on them, okay? I want you to go hard at them. I want you to give them everything you got, all right? Come on. So can you imagine that? Here it is. We talking about again, you could be say 1619 to 2019, right? So here it is. Here it is. Most kids today, you know, again, y'all the few selected that come over here. Y'all the only ones that still got an ear to want to hear. Everybody else is turned off. Whoa, I'm that racist stuff. Right? Okay, so whatever. But how come I can keep pull? If I came on, let me put it to you like this. If I came on 365 days, I could never run out of material. I'm going to say that again. If I came on 365 days and leap year, I could never run out of material. Why? It's that prevalent. It is the core fabric of the nation and pretty much the bubble. So for those who try to say you ignore it, okay, but I'm going to keep showing. I'm going to keep doing. This is why I'm the most hated show in the Black Corner, is because they don't want to see this. They don't want to see that. Right? And as long as you acting like you don't want to see it, then how can you eradicate it? Why the shame falling on you when other people are doing it to you, right? So here's the black students, again, as I gave you a little reenactment of my version of it, right? Of what transpired in the classroom. So I always say the teacher decided to do that, right? Little chapel school in the village of Lutheran church, and it's a church. They know about slavery. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ain't that right, Kabir? They had a big hand in that, didn't they? Huh? They had a big hand in that, right? So anyway, so we see that they did a mock auction. And again, this is a private school. They're paying about $14,000, right? Right? Ain't no permission slip about doing this. This is just a class. It was just a class assignment. You didn't have to read up on nothing. You had to know how to get in your lines. It just spurred a moment. She brought all the material, and then we're going to try this today, right? So we see that it had those classmates, the children in 5th grade. Now, 5th grade, you about what, 10? 9, 10, 10, 11, something between 9, 10, 9 going on 10, 10 going on 11, right? 9, 11, right? We're going to talk about 9 to 11, right? And, we're talking about 2019. So most of these kids is born like, 2010? 2010, take about 11, 2008, right? Max 11, we said 11, so okay. They parents, okay, say their parents, they see they 20s or something. They parents kind of brand new too, right? They kind of new. They ain't on that no more. They, they done slept and all that, so they ain't talking like that. So could you imagine the traumatic experience that they had? They only had that kind of conversation in the house. Most of the kids being raised up by computers and video games. You know what I'm saying? Eating fast food. Ain't no conversation no more. You ain't sitting down. Hey, what's going on? What's going on in school today? What are they doing? Next story. Let's check this next story. See, that's how you know when parents be up on their stuff. But so it is. They don't know. Get in school. This happening, and they doing this reenactment. But they kind of know, because in genetic, right, they say in the acoustic records that, they be teaching that. In the acoustic records, you have memory in our DNA. And something triggered. You ever seen the dude that did in The Wire? What was the brother name? Michael something in The Wire did a movie where they did the reenactment of a whipping, and he lost it. And his acoustic records turned on, and he just got the screaming because the whole ambiance of the scene and where he was, and he kind of lost it, and something kicked in, and he just got the screaming. The white man had to console him. Something in him triggered. So what probably might have happened here? Maybe that happened, right? Little ones, they don't know no better, but then something in them kicked in that this is not feeling good. And again, everybody wants to think that everybody's so innocent because we're just reenacting something that was history. But we're not saying when they was in their bedding. See, 9, 10, they got parents. We don't know what their parents be at home and what they be saying. So here was a chance for them to kind of, reenact it. Say, get it. We don't know what really, there's no video, so we don't really know. But these kids were traumatized based on that, right? Them kids were traumatized based on that. And so based on that, somebody went and told the parents, right? And they said that, word got back, and that's how they end up doing the investigation. So now they try to break down. So they said, well, the school is about 43%, whom are minorities. Minorities don't necessarily mean black people. Black minorities mean anybody who is not considered Caucasian or non-Hispanic or Hispanic who checked the box on the damn census as white, right? So that don't necessarily mean that there was a diversity as there's a lot of blacks. So let's just say there was only 5 black children in the whole private school, and you had them in the 5th grade, so now this situation, you had some little smart alecky kid. Yeah, you're a slave. I bought you, right? I bought you, little ass, right? See, you understand? See, everybody assumes they can understand from our position. A lot of them act as if like you can talk from our position because, you ever heard, I'm going to give you a term. You ever heard of a term called Magnolia Myth? Magnolia Myth said that slaves didn't have it so bad. It was pretty good. As a matter of fact, they would fight not to leave. Well, where was they going to go? What money did they have? Where was they going to go that they thought it wouldn't be dangerous? But see, that's what some people have to do to make this up, to make it wasn't so bad. You could have been back in Africa. Well, if you left Africa alone, I guess you would be trying to come big and get up in there like you're doing now, right? But anyway, that's something else. So anyway, we see that the screw got into this chief advisory, got the Attorney General, Lolita James, so they went and got their token. Come on. We need somebody black to go out there and talk. Come on, Lolita. Go out there. Tell them we're not racist. It had nothing to do with that. And so Lolita was like, well, every young person, regardless of race, deserves a chance to attend school free of harassment. Right? She says bias and discrimination. She said, lessons designed to separate children on basis of race have no place in New York schools, in classrooms throughout this country. Right? Of course, that's the most politically correct thing to say. But obviously the teacher didn't understand that. She thought it was a good idea. Now, see, that the problem is, when we have other people who are teaching our children, then this is what kind of happens, right? When other people teaching you, that's why you see, let's say, the Jewish people, they build their synagogues, and you know what I'm saying, and they build their schools, and they teach they chill. Chinese people, when they not trying to be so Americanized, they make their stuff, okay, right? But again, you have different classes of people with different structures about their income. So some of them are poor, and even though there is so many people, some of them have to go to public schools. So in that case, you got no choice. You ain't got no money. But when you got some money, you can do that. So based on, again, we as a open hand, the people who have some money seem to go other places amongst other people, so everybody else holding the bag, and we have to be in the public school system, which means that primarily we're going to have white teachers, white women teachers, right? And so, again, people don't look as, white women could be part of the team. They just, they're good, they're just philanthropists, and they're good humanitarian, they're just trying to do right by you. Well, that's mama. That produced that one. You understand? That's who produced that. So, so people got outraged by this whole thing. And again, is it a good idea to reenact without getting permission from the parents to even know if I want my child to participate in that. Because, again, I think you should have to say so. But, again, kind of right, Kabir, you went in the hospital when you had your birth child. It came in there, white woman came in there. It was like, you want to sign this paper, say you the daddy. And you was like, oh, yeah, I'm the daddy. You know what I'm saying? I want to get the Social Security card and all that good stuff. And then, you sign them over to the state. So state got the right? What they call state property, huh? They come in and say, we messed up. All right, it was correct. We shouldn't have did that. We're going to reprimand her. We shouldn't have did that. But they already got it off already, right? The damage is already done. The damage already done. For something that's seen to be so innocent can have such a long implemented detriment effect that we won't see today. But going back to the story about Milwaukee, talking about the health crisis, you just implemented that on them unbeknownst to this little charade of mock you did. Right? So moving on. Well, else I got the bag here, right? So check it out. We're about to go on here. So check this out. Now, again, we still on the racial theme here, right? You know how I do it. I got to keep it on there. Now, let's say, I don't think I'm going to do it. Maybe I do it the next show. I'm talking about the route of Route 66 and the origins of that, right? And, about sundown towns, right? Right, and again, we in 2019, and we have a lot of our people, again, I'm not a pessimistic. I'm an optimistic, but I'm also a realist, you understand? So I know how to see things for what it is and understand that, again, as much as you might want things to be different, but again, you have to understand the slow process that has been, so change is very slow. So you as a black person, even though you brand new, and again, a lot of people don't like to talk about what done transpired historically and try to say, well, I'm only about the future. I don't look at the past. Well, this is what happened to you, right? So we got this brother and sister. They end up deciding they were going to take themselves and, take themselves a little picnic. Think about that term, picnic and barbecue. Where did that come from? Of our knowledge of it being here in the United States, right? But let me show you this right quick and be right back. Check. Wait, hold on. Before I do that, let me, for those who might be sitting up in here holding your hands, you understand? That brother holds something, right? Let me hold something. Then play this and be right back. Check this out. I'll be right back.
This lady literally just pulled a gun because we out here and didn't have reservations for a lake that we didn't even know we had to have reservation for. We didn't know. Like, the only thing you had to do was tell us.
We didn't know, man.
We didn't know. The only thing you had to do was tell us to leave. We would have left. You did not have to pull a gun.
All right. So we see Granny packing, right? I say, throw mama from the train, or granny from the train, right? Granny got a pipe in her hand, right? Now again, am I against home defense, protecting your property, protecting your square? No, I ain't against that. But I have an issue with, again, let's say, I done did the story. Those who, again, I know I've been erratic lately, not trying to be on the, the dailies, but I'm going to get that cleaned up because, I'm dealing with some stuff in the background, but I'm going to get it done. But remember the show remember the young man went to somebody, got off the school bus and he got off, he didn't know where he was, went knocked on the door, white man come out with a gun, shooting at him, right? You know what I'm saying? So here you is picnicking, right? Going in an area you thought that would be good, right? Your history would tell you, it's kind of like when you come out of the areas we come out of, right? And if you understand gang, areas, turf, all that good shit, right? This area here, there be them hillbilly white boys, you know what I'm saying? They won't go over there. And then the Mexicans that be over there, you know what I'm saying? The brother over here, they don't, you know what I'm saying? You know your territory when you move. So when you go to other places that you are unfamiliar with, it is incumbent on you as a black person to make sure you know where you at, because you could put yourself in harm's way. Now that could have changed and been deadly, but again, Creator done put that camera in everybody's hand. And everybody know you can get yourself put on viral and go, you know what I'm saying? You can go viral. And so that kind of de-escalated her. But she had it in her hand, you know what I'm saying? She was ready, you know what I'm saying? And, again, they just like, well, all you had to do is just tell us, and we'd have just gone by our long head. But again, I got to put fear in you. Why is it that way? Why do I feel like when black people, like again, everybody had the stigmatization in mind that black people are the most deadliest, craziest people in this country and down there in the world. But when we look at history, who got more killing? Now, yes, our people, due to the sickness and all the shit that doesn't happen with us, yes, there's an element that we fight each other and kill each other and all that. And that's due to, again, going back to the individual that was talking about the structural racism, right? Right? The structural racism, which is, again, how somebody can be identified and be discriminated just on the simple fact of your appearance can make me have structural racism. So I can redline you and make sure that you are in this designated area we got for you. And then, again, there's no employment, poor school, the food is bad, you understand? You're living under hot tar, you understand? So it just breeds an element of just, hostility. So years and years of that and being deprived and all that, it just breeds a kind of certain element. So yes, you get to take the choices and keep putting them and parading them and look what they're doing, look what they're doing. But again, there's a cause and effect to that. Now, what is your issue? Why is it you see it's like somebody always after get you? Nobody's after you. You know, as I say, well, that song, I always feel like somebody's watching me. Remember that? Maxwell shit, right? I think it was a Maxwell. Or Michael Jackson. One of them, you know what I'm talking about. But he was singing that, right? I always feel like somebody watching me. Matter of fact, Michael Jackson was the hook on that song. Ain't that a bitch? Michael Jackson was the hook on that. But anyway, so you always in fear when you seeing us like, we the boogeyman. Again, we Baba Yaga, right? We Baba Yaga. But shit, who are Baba Yaga? Now, we ain't number one in this. You understand? But somehow reason everybody believe we number one. So man, you see us as first thing, they're coming to get me. No. It might just be a little bit of your own guilt. You understand? It might be your own guilt. So you have to ask yourself, you pulling gun. Do you know you live by an area that there's a possibility that somebody could be mixed up in knowing that? You can't say, hey, who you looking for? You understand? No, first you pulling out. You making sure, But if you read the article gonna say this. The article says that, old lady, Corgi pulls her gun. They tried to dilute the situation by trying to say, it was very innocent. It wasn't really as hard as it appears. It's kind of like that dude that, what's her name, Ron Janae? The one in Texas when the white dude was cold cocking her, right? But he had a gun in his hand. Remember that? Right? He had a gun in his hand, and they never once really wanted to deal with the fact that he had a gun in his hand. Because why? The stereotypical is you're always in fear around you, so a gun was just his protection, right? Whether he was concealed carry or not, but brandishing it in itself was not necessary. But because the stigmatization of that you were always the damn predator, then this is kind of natural, because I don't think nothing else is going to happen other than that, right? But I'm just saying, as black folks, again, we in this June, July area, they done made it where we used to dominate them forest preserves and places to go barbecue, but now you got to pay. So you don't get it as like you used to, right? So now it's kind of like they done deterred a lot of that. And again, with all this new stuff and new people out here, you can't even congregate like that because things going to pop off, right? So I'm just saying, if you going and trying to find you some little area and there's some place you ain't too familiar with, it ain't really your hometown or home spot, you understand? You better be careful, man. I can't sing R. Kelly no more because he done, right? You gotta be careful. Anyway, so what's going on, right? So I got another one for you, right? So again, as it's saying, this breeding of this hostility of, again, what they say about racism is a crisis, right? So, I don't condone what you're about to see, but I'm saying maybe there's something there. Again, person lashing out, right? And doing something to this magnitude. So it's like, people can only take so much. There's a threshold for everything, right? So when people start lashing out and you try to attribute it to the fact that it's just them, why ain't we looking at where's the cause and effect that may be the reason for this? Or maybe you're just not going to ever look at that. Well, let's look at this here. Again, I don't condone it, but it did happen.
Anything you want to say?
No.
Emmanuel Aranda told a judge that he had nothing to say before he was sentenced to 19 years in prison. Aranda pleaded guilty last month to throwing a 5-year-old boy off a third-floor balcony at the Mall of America in Minnesota, nearly killing him. Prosecutors read an emotional victim impact statement from the little boy's father.
Your act was evil and selfish. You chose to listen to the worst parts of yourself that day. You chose evil over good and chose to take your hate and hurt out on my precious boy.
According to a criminal complaint, the victim's mother said they were standing outside of the Rainforest Cafe at the mall when a man now identified as Emmanuel Aranda walked very close to them. She allegedly asked him if they were in the way and should move. Prosecutors say without warning, Aranda then picked up the victim and threw him off the third-floor balcony. The child fell around 40 feet. The suspect told police he went to the mall on April 12th looking for someone to kill. Aranda's mother says he suffers from mental illness.
Mentioned depression, schizophrenia, ADD, autism. It was just different things. I don't think he intended to do this.
The little boy suffered a severe head injury and has needed multiple medical procedures. His family says he faces a long recovery road. Mark Liverman, CBS News, New York.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and read this article for it says, man who threw boy off Mall of America balcony sentence. I'm going to say that again. Man who threw boy off Mall of America balcony sentence. Story come out of CBS News, came out yesterday, looks like June the 3rd, 2019, and reads like this. It says, the man who pleaded guilty to throwing a 5-year-old boy off a balcony at the Mall of America was sentenced Monday to 19 years in prison. Emmanuel Aranda pleaded guilty last month to one count of attempt premeditated murder for throwing the child from a third-floor balcony on April 12th. CBS Minneapolis reports the boy survived a 39-foot fall, but suffered significant head trauma and broken bones. According to the family, his recovery has been slow, with several procedures in this week since the assault. The boy, identified in court only as Landon, needed multiple surgeries. Oh, that moved a little bit. All right, we need multiple surgeries. Sorry about that, y'all. For head trauma and other injuries. No updates on his recovery was provided in court Monday, though his parents described it as miraculous. Aranda told investigators he went to the mall looking to kill someone. According to the complaint, the 24-year-old had tried unsuccessfully to talk to women in the mall, but their rejection caused him to lash out and be aggressive. He said he had planned to kill an adult before choosing the child instead. In a victim impact statement, the parents of the boys decried Aranda's actions are evil, but said they forgive him. Your act was evil and selfish. You choose to listen to the worst parts of yourself that day, the boy's father said in a statement read by Prosecutor Cherry Ann Townsend. You choose evil over good and choose to take your hate and hurt out on my precious boy. That is where your impact on us stops. You will take nothing more from us. You choose to think about yourself that day, what you were feeling and wanted to do to someone else. Landon's mother said in a separate, man, this thing is why somebody messing with me here. This thing is rolling on its own, right? The boy's father said in a statement read by the prosecutors. I think I read that part from us. Okay, hold on, y'all. One second. So, I'm sad you chose anger and hatred. Amanda's attorney, Paul Seller, did not raise a mental illness defense. Aranda did acknowledge in the response to a question from the judge that he had been in mental health court previously and completed requirement treatments. No further details were provided. He had 2 past convictions for assault at the mall, both in 2015, and had been banned from the property at one point. Court records showed Aranda was ordered to undergo psychological evaluation or treatment after those assaults. Aranda's mother, Becky Aranda, family friend Jessica Harris told reporters afterward that he had been in and out of mental health treatment while growing up in Chicago, with frequently changing diagnoses, including attention deficit disorder, depression, autism, and schizophrenia. They said that as far as they know, he was homeless before the attack. We're trying to figure out what happened, what led him to do this. She said, we need answers as much as everybody else. Mary Moralati, the chief public defender of Hennepin County, said afterwards that her office must honor its duty of confidentiality to its client. She indicated defense attorneys were following Manuel Aranda's wishes in resolving the case quickly. One of our jobs, of our goals as public defenders, is to build a trusting relationship with the client and try to achieve what the client's goals are, she said. All right, now, again, it was a young man, about 24 years old. And looks like he decided, okay, let me go back there. Okay. So it looked like he decided that he was going to the American Mall, according to what he said. He said he was going there, that he had premeditated to go there to kill somebody. But then the guy said when he said he was there talking with girls, right? So was he going there, he was going to do it to a girl? And if that being the case, if he was just going there to pretend it didn't matter who he got, he could have got anybody, right? But he chose to get the little, 6-year-old, 4-year-old, little 4-year-old, right? 5-year-old. No, it can't be 5. He'd have been dead from that kind of fall, right? How old was the boy? 5-year-old. That's a tough-ass boy. 40 feet, come down, well, He's lucky he didn't die. He still got 19 years, right? But the point is there, again, this individual here, who's 24 years old, again, came out of the environment of Chicago. As again, we talked about earlier about is, racism having a crisis on our people. So looking at this in hindsight, do you think that maybe there might have been some racialness and why he chose and did that he was trying to hurt? You understand? So they say he took out his hurt and his anger and his hatred. So they say, yeah, you picked out somebody white. You picked somebody white to do this, right? And, they forgive him. I guess what else you going to be able to do, right? You already got him and locked up, right? So you're going to do that. So, but the point is, this individual has been going in and out of mental facilities for treatment, right? And it seems like no matter how in the, depression and the things that black people go through, they didn't even put up a mental health defense. Think about that. He had a good chance to be able to use that. Why not? And then at the end, you're going to talk about the prosecutor job, or there's a damn the motherfucker that they give you, court attorney ass motherfucker. He get in there, he did, he pleaded, take the 19. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to use the yeah, because if he uses the mental, he got the documentation to show that he had something wrong with him. But have you ever seen a black person try to use it? Matter of fact, I did that. I can't remember that young brother that came in the courtroom looking all trying to look crazy. I didn't kill friends and stuff. He tried to look crazy. He couldn't get nothing because you playing, right? But in this case, you got documentation. So why was he not able to use that as a defense? Because it seems like black people can't be deemed something psychologically wrong with you, right? Saying like you can't be diagnosed that to defend yourself when you do something like that. But a person of other demographics can do the same thing, and then they can be found do shoot up a movie theater, do shoot up a school. You know what I'm saying? They can be seen to be deemed, he got mental problems, and he didn't know what he was doing, right? But black people seem to can't get that diagnosis. Now again, I don't condone what he did. He did do it. He had some issues. They gave you a list of things, schizophrenia, and a whole bunch of things that they had been diagnosed with. So how could he not be diagnosed? But no, I'm gonna make sure you get this because again, you touch one of us. See, when we touch one of them, we're going to get the full extent of the letter of the law, but on vice versa, justifiable is justifiable. You get what I'm saying? So, that's just how it goes, right? That's just how it is. And then again, like I say, we don't condone the fact. But again, that individual showed that he had a background that showed he had something that was right with him. Take a little boy, throw him 40 feet over the damn mall. Lucky nobody else was down there, then he could fall on him, bust their shit too. Fuck them up too, right? So, it is what it is. But again, like I said, we don't condone it. But again, we have a long, extensive history here. There's a lot of things that's been a contributor to the reason why a lot of our people are the way it is. I mean, again, sisters, some might hear me. No, this ain't no shot at you. I love you. Y'all my sisters, right? But what's up with all this three-tone hair shit? Right? I'm saying purple, blonde, blue, see? Like a mood ring and shit. Like motherfuckers wearing mood rings on their head and shit, right? And it's like, wait a minute, hold on, man. Wait a minute. What's going on, man? What is really going on, right? There is some things going on with our people, again, due to the long trauma, illness that's been happening with us. But nobody want to act like they don't want to look at that. They want to just kind of say, and then you're just crazy. You just do that kind of shit any goddamn one. No. Some historical shit going on here. But you're not going to get that because, again, that has to show the cause and effect, and that has to say that there's something that you've been doing, and you've been doing, even though we can't put our finger on it. Whether it be legislatively, again, structural racism, and all the other things that are attributed to it. Yeah, you come in here, you don't want to hear that because you want me to hear white. You gonna come in, you gonna be mad when I say that. But the problem is y'all need to hear this so that you can see yourself to say, let's do some changes. It's time for us to do some changes, right? But again, that's a wishing on a star. All right, so I got another one, right? So let's look at this. Now, again, right? Let's look at this. Check this one out, right? Check this out.
Tonight, 2 Charlotte Smoothie Kings are shut down after customers noticed racist names added on their receipts. In one case, the N-word. On another, the name Jackie Chan. NBC Charlotte's Savannah Levin spoke to those victims and corporate. She joins us now with the details of what happened. Savannah?
The 2 Smoothie King locations in Charlotte that these receipts were traced back to, including this one off Davis Lake Parkway, were shut down for employee sensitivity training.
Anger, just frustration.
Tony Choi says he had to do a double take when he was handed this receipt at the Smoothie King on Davis Lake Parkway last night.
And I noticed on the little slips that print out, they type in Jackie Chan.
Choi says after he ordered, he noticed the employees giggling and smirking with each other, which is what made him ask for a copy of the receipt. And that's when he saw it.
Just let them know, hey, I'm going to write a thing about this. I don't think this is pretty funny.
Even worse, he says he was there with his 2 young children, 8 and 6.
I didn't want to make a scene in front of them. I don't want them to know what was going on.
And get this, just a few hours earlier at a different Smoothie King location 5 miles away, another customer reported getting this receipt with the N-word printed on it.
Oh, I was shocked. It blew my mind. I was surprised it just I mean, same day, just a couple hours apart, right down the street.
Seems Smoothie King Corporate was shocked too. After massive online backlash, the company released a statement apologizing, saying the incidents were, quote, totally unacceptable and go against every value that we stand for. The company confirming the 2 employees involved were fired, adding the 2 stores will be closed until further notice while they meet with and retrain the staff.
I mean, it helps. It starts with that, so.
Choi says he thinks the employees make a game out of it, not thinking they'd get caught since people rarely ask for the receipts. But it's a game he doesn't think is funny in the least.
I know it's not a career for those kids, but I mean, they need to take things seriously.
Smoothie King Corporate telling me that they are taking this very seriously to the point that they're actually reconsidering training on the franchise level. Reporting for NBC Charlotte, I'm Savannah Levins. I'll send it back to you.
All right. I don't know if you have a Smoothie King around you. But we know we have restaurants. And a lot of times, again, you might do takeout, right? Takeout, or you might do delivery. Now, Mr. Blow Your Mind once in a while, I'm going to give you some of a real store that I done went to, right? Like, I ordered, some pizza from this place and stuff, right? Sometimes, they, get frequent again, if you're on the phone, I'm black. You know that. You know what I'm talking about. You know I'm black. You ain't going to be the, right? You don't know. So I'll call, right? And, I get the food. When you first time call, they make sure your stuff is good, fresh, and all. Oh, man, I like that pretty good. I'm going to come back. So you done got accustomed with them now, right? I didn't want to send you, shit look like you got the most oldest goddamn fries in there. The pizza look like some, bullshit. Right? And then, right? But see, the thing is, people be working in places and then they got a lot of bullshit in them. Man, over here, I'm going to keep the shit 100. People got bullshit in them. And restaurants is probably one of the worst places that really you don't be knowing. And so people kind of, again, hide behind, use their jobs to get away with stuff. Now, something as simple as a receipt. But it took you to know to go in there and press the button and put nigger on there. And he looked like Jackie Chan. Right? Now, Smoothie King, I'm pretty sure these are young. These are teenagers, young adults in there, right? But they say 2019 and we so past racism. Right? We're so past that. But yet we keep seeing young folks, right, that still really here. Just like, again, we seen the one with the mock trial, the little one they instilling, you sold them, right? Unbeknownst to them, this woman was teaching them little white kids to the little black kids that we sold them. You were the owners of them, right? Subliminal type of racism. And so, as much as he said, the Chinese individual, like he didn't want to tell his children about it, I'm saying you got to tell your children about it. You can't act as if this ain't real. It doesn't make you a racist because you reveal the racism. It is informing your child of what the possibility is. It's like making your child believe everybody loves them. Some people make their children walk around here thinking that everybody going to love them. It's kind of like, the rites of passage for a lot of us is getting your heart broke when you're little. This is how you really develop into this man. Like some little girl, talk to her, ooh, this and that, right? She don't like you as much. She might be using you, maybe, you got a little popular name or, maybe, something, right? Then come to find she cheating and she got somebody, break your heart, right? I seen a video the other day where dude, it was on a train and this woman was on there texting somebody, took the phone and seen the phone, he got mad, slammed the phone, called all kinds of names, ooh, this and that, right? Okay, you're going to get over it. You're going to be hurt. But that's just part of it, right? But that's the same thing here. See, when you rearing children, you can't say, I'm not teaching you so that you don't be a handicap to you. It's a handicap to you that you don't know. I'm going to say that again. Some people believe that if I don't tell you about what it is and how this game is and what you've been in and to continue teaching. Matter of fact, I'm going to take a scripture out that Bible where it says to inculcate when they get up, when they get down, when you're walking, and when you're going. I mean, you always teaching. Always teaching. And if you always teaching, that means there's many. Again, I can do a show 366 days of the same material and never run out of material. Never. While everybody else got other topics, it'll get dry. I'll never be dry. Why? Because this is the fabric of the nation. This is the fabric the world is dealing with. Now, you can take it or leave it alone. That's up to you. So when people are working in these jobs and they doing a little snickering and doing this shit, you have people I know, they work a job, they piss on the shit, getting the customers, doing all kind of crazy. Right, that's I said. I know you a little grossed out on that. People do that kind of shit, work at these jobs, doing all kind of fuck shit. They don't like you when they do that. You can go on the job, motherfucker will ask you for a receipt, knowing you that did just to, mess with you. Then talking about she going on break. I don't know if y'all seen that video. Sisters was in there buying up all this food, and then the white woman seen it and told the black ones to go check. I don't think they got the receipts for it. Went through the whole thing. They done paid for everything, and then they want to talk to her. Well, she went to lunch already. See, a little bullshit, right? So that's just what it is, man. People do shit and try to hide under the guise, and then he said, "Well, this is not going to be their career. They just need to know." See, this is structural. It has been implemented long time. It has to be addressed. People are becoming sick. People are becoming all kinds of ways. You got people actually turning inside out. You got black people who are turning inside out. What you mean by that, Mr. Blow Your Mind? I mean you got black folks turning white. I'm going to say that again. You got black folks out here who think it is better and safe to not be black, but I'm going to throw everything I can to try to be white. Is that a sickness? Is that a crisis? I think it is. I know it is. I ain't gonna tell you what I heard, but tell you what I know. That is what it is. All right. All right. So if we're talking to racism from that aspect, what about technology? Can technology be racist too? Well, I seen this story here. And before I do that, let me, for those who might be sitting on their hand, I'm saying, I actually do a little something for me before I go. So let me do this and then check this out. We're going to check this technology part out. Check this out.
Technology should only be used if any associated with the software can be avoided, according to a Metropolitan Police ethics panel. The report says it must be shown that the technology should not import gender and racial discrimination into policing operations, and that it must have more than a marginal benefit to counteract any potential trust issues with the public. The panel also concluded that trial data should be used to determine any intrinsic biases, and it called on that data to be published to address the concerns that the report had raised. Well, trials have been conducted in 10 different areas of London by the Metropolitan Police, the latest being in Romford Town Centre. But the technology has been shown to misidentify people in as high as 96% of cases in the trials thus far. Well, for more on this, I'm now joined by Dr. Amir Al-Nimrat, a cyber security expert. Amir, just how concerning is the possibility of race or gender bias in what should be a computer program?
Yes, facial recognition technology is a growing market, is expected to be reach 7.7 billion from 4 million from 2016. However, it is a technology used in all different type of applications, and many people actually, or individual, or us, you are using it actually mainly. For example, let's say Facebook, you are using facial recognition technology. However, regarding the ethical issues within the technology, there is a concern in terms of the use of the technology, because the technology itself is using data and algorithms, and these data and algorithms has to be trained on a large amount of labeled images, for example, and this technology will recognize faces just within the parameters of the data trained on, or the faces was exposed to. And that's why, for example, if there is a bias in there, and that will be forwarded straight away to the human operator.
Right, okay, but the human operator will be able to see that. But what about the computer program itself? Is it easily resolved? Can it easily be fixed? Because clearly it's causing a lot of problems in these trials at the moment.
Absolutely, it's an algorithm, and this is one of the issues, one of the bias. I mean, because it will be tested, and with the human operators, they could have to verify or override the decision of that of the technology itself. That's why for example, there is a dangerous as well that could be adjusted by the human operator, sorry.
Yeah.
And how that works, and in a way, for example, because they have to set up a threshold to determine the faces, and if that's a threshold, for example, at the end of the day, give a lot of correct matchings, and maybe the human operator will rely and defer the decision to the technology itself to take decision. The opposite as well, there is maybe will be a false matches that will be required from the human operator to adjust that.
Of course, so therefore there is a problem, a false match, then a human operator will identify that. So do you think people should be really worried about this then, bearing in mind there will be overriding human operations here?
It is. I mean, there is many security concern about in terms of all that. The facial recognition is data will be stored somewhere else, and we do not know how may the hackers could access.
So despite these concerns, it's here to stay, and it's going to get better and better in terms of the technology. Even those people who are worried about it, just finally, there's nothing we can do about it. It's going to be part of our future.
Absolutely, I do agree with you.
All right, so it looks like they're gonna have facial recognition, and talking about they're not trying to introduce gender or racial bias, right? But again, programs sound like, let's say, for instance, you could talk to certain people and say programming, right, and artificial intelligence, but don't it got to be programmed by the person who created it? So can't that person implement biases in there unbeknownst and make the general population believe that it has no bias in it? You understand? So we live in a racial world, right? As much as everybody want to say race is a construct, it's not really real, but if you on the other side of it, it is real to us. It may not be real to you, it's real to us. And so if you have human operators who are the ones who are the hands, who create the digits and whoever create the technology, it's always, as long as it's going to always have human is to air, right? There's always the possibility of that being in there. So who is that going to fall on, right? So they can skew the data, because again, you got to remember they used to have, what was the name of that science? Not morphology. There was a science where they did, talking about studies of head craniums, right? Certain, dimensions that they knew that fit certain racial groups. Is that data in there? You understand? Is that data going to be in there? Right? So if people are racial, you can't tell me that everything is not going to have that bias in it. It depends on whose benefit that technology is for. If they have the agenda and they can use it however they want to use it, unbeknownst to you. Right? So I'll give it to you like this. I seen a story I read last night about Lord Jamal, right? Lord Jamal, they got a meme out there. I guess they kind of used it for the Golden State, and he was saying some shit. I think it was on Vlad TV or something like that. And the original video that he did with Vlad video, he had on red with an entirely different hat. But when they played this on, I can't remember the name, Underground or something like that, it was some kind of sports show. They had Lord Jamal saying the same thing, wearing the Golden State hat and Golden State gear. And he was like, whoa, wait a minute. I don't even own no shit like that, right? I don't own no shit like that. So that's the kind of shit that the technology is going. So think about what I'm saying. So you can be biased in the data and how it can go out, and again, that is scanning to say if it's used for certain technologies for criminality and stuff like that. And I can have you to say, okay, I have some people who going to identify and say that you were and you wore this, and I can have my technology where it's going to fit according to that, and you don't even own that kind of shit. That's what was disclosed with the Lord Jamal part. That the technology that I can have you wearing shit that you don't even have. And it fits, and you couldn't even tell. It was just that damn good. If you don't believe me, go look it up. You'll see it. You go see it. The next time you tell me, go see it. You'll see it. And so it's like racism in every aspect of this thing. You understand? Because certain people got certain agendas, and we have to understand that, right? You know. So I'm not going to sit here and say that it won't. I just have the optimism. I just gonna have to say the optimism, the realism to say until you prove me wrong. You know how I say guilty until proven innocent? Well, probably innocent proven till guilty, right? But you know that's how it is. We guilty till we proven innocent. Well, that's the same way I'm looking at this shit that they be doing. You guilty until I can figure out that shit don't got it. You know, it's kind of like saying the justice system. How many times I keep seeing a story of somebody going in, didn't do the crime, and did all 33, 40 years of coming out, and now 62 years old. Remember the last story I just did, Keith Bush, right? Right? So there's always flaws. So ain't no tell me that there's going to be no perfection in this technology. Knowing that the damn fabric, again, of what is woven is a racial element. Because, again, if not, then clear up the debt and change the whole set. All you got to do is clean up what done happened, start anew, and then we can wipe all the way. Then Mr. Blowman can't talk like this. Hey, man, we can clean that up. Everything good. Cooper said we from a clean slate now. Until you do that, Mr. Blowman going to keep doing what he doing. Moving on. All right, I got a couple more left, man. Let's see, I got here. Let's see, what is this one? Let's see. Let's go here. Let's check this out. I got one for this one. Check this out. Be right back, y'all.
Next tonight, here to the alarming scene, a Lyft driver attacked here in New York City by a passenger he was taking to the hospital. The man apparently angry he wasn't driving fast enough. It is difficult to watch, and there is an investigation now. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
It's about 10 minutes.
An impatient Lyft rider gets physical, and tonight he is wanted by police. In this newly released dashcam video, you can see the man pummeling his driver, Eduardo Madiedo. The driver picked up 2 passengers in New York City on Thursday.
Drive faster, please.
Throughout the ride, the male passenger appears to be in pain, complaining they aren't getting to the hospital fast enough.
I'm sorry, man. I can't get in front of the cars that are in front of me.
The agitated passenger then curses at the driver.
Excuse me, man. If you're going to be disrespectful, I'll just pull over right now.
The physical confrontation lasts about a minute.
Please stop!
Just before the male passenger flees on foot, he throws a punch through the driver's side window.
I was trying to do my best to steer and just pull over as much as possible. Luckily, there was no pedestrians in the way.
The driver says he immediately called 911 and filed a police report. Lyft tells us they do not tolerate harassment or violence, and they have permanently banned that passenger from the platform. Investigation now underway.
Just awful video. All right, Lindsay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel.
All right, there we go. So, man got into a Lyft car. It seemed like he was kind of an emergency, right? And, in those kind of situations, right, you trying to get there, trying to get some help. You heard him moaning, right? You heard it, right? Now, again, we on this show, Black Minds New, we don't condone violence, right? But sometimes we understand. Now, let's look at it like this. So my man, again, gets into the car. Somebody has the account. He gets the Lyft, get in the car, trying to get him on to where he's trying to get to. Look like he's trying to get some help. And so my man, I guess we don't know what time it is. We don't know what kind of traffic it is, okay? And I kind of looking in the background. I can see cars kind of behind him, say a little bit of kind of cloud traffic, okay? He asked him, how much longer? He said, about 10 minutes, right? Now, when you in pain, 10 minutes can be like an hour, 2 hours. So, old school, you might get some that be trying to do that, right? This kind of like, somebody having a baby. This time you can actually go through red lights, right? You just hoping the police pull you over. Gotta get out of the house with a baby, right? You trying to do that, right? So in this case, this dude, he driving, but I don't think he driving with the kind of persistentness. Well, I ain't gonna say persistent. I'm saying he's not driving with how can I put that? He need to be driving with some urgency. How about that? He need to be driving with some urgency because the passenger's in, right? But see, let me tell you where he went wrong at. Let me tell you where he went wrong. You seen that part when his ass told him, if you're going to be cussing, I'm going to just let you out here. And y'all notice, now again, I don't know what school you from. I'm just telling for myself. Now again, I be calling about bills. Like, let's say, for instance, my cable bill and shit. I be having issues and shit. I call them up, and then it be some bullshit. And what I do is I go off. I be like, man, whoop-de-woo-woo-woo. Y'all on bullshit. This money I'm paying you. Raggedy ass service. Wow, you know what I'm saying? Now, the person on the other end is taking what I'm saying personal, right? You're taking the shit personal. That's what customer service is for. Mother who really making the money I'm never going to be able to talk to them, right? Because they robbing me without a gun, right? You paying for TV. You can only watch one channel at a damn time, right? You paying for all this, right? And so sometimes the service be janky and all this stuff, and so you got to call in. So now, again, as I'm saying, I'm talking to this person. Maybe I'm a little irate today. Maybe I had some other stuff to do, could get the show all, service all tore up. You prevent me from keeping my, all right, so I'm calling you about it. Now, this person got a problem because of the way I'm talking. Well, if you're going to be talking to me like that, I'm going to just hang up. Wait a minute. I'm the customer here. I'm paying, and when I got an issue, if you pick up that phone, other than me, like I'm on you directly, then maybe you can do that. Other than that, you just got to take it. That's what customer service is about. So the same thing here with this Lyft driver. My man is in pain. He trying to get you to be urgent to get him where he going. You know he in pain. You hear him back there. He getting agitated, right? But to say, if you keep cursing, I'm going to let you out. Well, that's why you got the 5-piece sandwiches. That's why you was getting the 5-piece sandwiches. Because you had no reason getting to that. You just ignored it. My man in pain. Let me just work on trying to get you there so that I can get you there. You understand? Not this. Then I'm going to let you out. You're like, all right, that's how you going to play this? Now, I'm not condoning it, but I understand it. You understand what I'm saying? I understand it. I ain't condoning it, but I'm saying, you weren't supposed to say that, homie. Your job is to drive. My man in pain, you know in pain. You say, make him feel you doing your best to try to get him there. Don't get in that back and forth. I'm going to kick you out. Kick him out and he in pain. Now he got to send away for nothing. Then you going to get the 5 pieces. You know what I'm saying? Biscuit, fries, and everything else he was throwing. So anyway, see, what is that? See, that it's always that. See, people done lost the aspect of human, the humanity that you in that situation. If you was in his situation and he was you, wouldn't you want him to get your ass there as quick as you could? So the thing is just try to make him feel that that's what you're trying to do. But no, you trying to be like, I can kick your ass out. Nah, it's your car. You do what you want. And that's why you got what you got. Hot pockets. All right, moving on. All right, so let's see here. Now, this one here, I got another one right back to back. We're going to go right back to back on it. Because there's a lot of bullshit going on out here, right? So check this out. I'll be right back. Let's see what's going on. We're kind of a little slow here. Let's see what's going on. All right, we put it up here. Do it this way. Yeah, that'd been better. All right, let's do this.
Living While Black has taken off on social media as videos have surfaced of these incidents from LA to Portland where people seem to be calling police simply based on a person's skin color. And as the LA Times is reporting, there's been a push now to go after these callers.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4 police officers here.
Last April, cell phone and police cam video from Rialto got national attention when it showed officers questioning a group of black people who were checking out of their Airbnb rental. A neighbor had called 911 reporting a possible burglary.
Do you have your rental agreement at least?
One of the women in the group was Bob Marley's granddaughter, who said she planned to take legal action over what she claimed was an excessive response to a racially motivated 911 call. Don't fight. That same month in Philadelphia, video surfaced showing two black men being confronted by Philadelphia police after they asked to use a Starbucks bathroom without first buying anything.
I have every right to call the police.
Another incident that sparked outrage was when a black Yale graduate student was questioned by cops for napping in a dorm common room.
There's a good chance if the person was white, it wouldn't have gotten that far.
And this woman was nicknamed Barbecue Becky when she called 911 to report that a black man was illegally barbecuing in an Oakland park. The LA Times reports that incidents like these are prompting elected officials in Michigan to Oregon and New York to introduce ordinances and laws that would punish the caller through fines or a misdemeanor. The Times says a bill backed by Oregon State Representative Janelle Bynum recently passed a committee to allow victims of racially biased 911 calls to sue the callers. Bynum was a victim herself when a neighbor called police on her while she was campaigning in Portland.
For no apparent reason, I was walking from house to house.
According to the Times, opponents say making false crime reports is already illegal in many places, and they question how police will determine whether the 911 caller was acting in a racist manner. Opponents also worry if these potential laws could in fact discourage people from actually calling police when there are real crimes. I've reached out to LA's mayor and some of the city council members, and no word yet on if our local elected officials would ever consider or support a similar law or ordinance.
Okay, the article says, hashtag living while black. New laws could outlaw racially motivated 911 calls. So say that again. Hashtag living while black. New laws could outlaw racially motivated 911 calls. This coming out of the Los Angeles Times, May the 27th, 2019, reads like this. The hashtag living while black went viral on social media in the last 2 years as videos proliferated of incidents around the nation in which white people call police on black people going about their everyday activities. The most well-publicized episode came last year, including two black men confronted by Philadelphia police after asking to use a Starbucks bathroom without first having made a purchase. A black Yale graduate student questioned by cops for napping in a dorm common room, and a black man in Oakland whose wife filmed his encounter with a woman who dialed 911 to say he was illegally barbecuing in a park. A lesser known one took place in 2017 in Grand Rapids, Michigan on a June afternoon when squad cars showed up at a public park during a graduation party. The event was permitted. The attendees were mostly black, and they said a noise complaint against them was really about white residents who were uncomfortable with a large gathering of black people. That instance and another last September in which police handcuffed two unarmed black 11-year-old brothers after a phone call reported a teen with a gun, added to complaints about race in 911 calls as well as policing in western Michigan. Now, the city of 200,000 could be among the first in the country to make such calls illegal. A proposed ordinance would make it a criminal misdemeanor to racially profile people of color for participating in their lives and subject people behind those 911 calls to a $500 fine. Policy like this makes it so people have to think about whether their decision to call 911 is grounded in something significant, said Cynthia Lanier, a Grand Rapids City Commissioner who was the first black person in her position. Our resources can't be wasted on police addressing no issues. You can't ignore that people of color are the ones who have been victimized. That is a part of a pattern. The debate in Grand Rapids joins efforts to either outlaw or discourage similar calls introduced by elected officials in Oregon and New York, and which activists have pushed for elsewhere. In Oregon State, Representative Janelle Bynum was going to door in her district outside Portland to speak to a constituent in July when a resident called police on her because she looked suspicious. Now Bynum, the state's only black legislator, is backing a bill that would allow victims of racially biased 911 calls about non-crimes to sue the caller in small claims court up to $250. I thought my incident was isolated and odd, but as time went on, I realized no, it's not, said Bynum, a Democrat. My goal has always been to spark a conversation on issues, especially in Oregon, where people don't have a great understanding of civil rights history. Bynum's proposal recently passed the State House and a Senate committee. In Grand Rapids, the proposed ordinance has received a mix of support and criticism at city commission meetings. Other attempts to enact such laws, including measures proposed last year by state legislators in New York and Michigan, have failed. Opponents of each have raised similar concerns. One is that making false crime reports is already illegal in many parts of the United States. Another is that although it's relatively easy for police who show up at the scene to determine there's no crime, it's harder to decide whether the 911 caller was acting in a racist manner in making a report. Ronell Serpas, a criminal justice professor at Loyola University, New Orleans, questioned whether the potential laws would discourage people from calling police when there are real crimes. We don't want to thwart people from calling when they think there is something suspicious in their neighborhood, he said, but we don't want it to be a racial proxy. We can do both. Whether we need new laws, I don't know. In Grand Rapids, the proposal is part of a larger human rights ordinance that has been under debate since earlier this year. A vote scheduled this month was pushed back to allow more community input and because of questions over how such a law would work in practice. Jeremy DeRue, executive director of Grand Rapids, Michigan, community development nonprofit Linked Up, has attended commission meetings to show his support. Police can charge a person for filing a false report, but this puts more power in the hands of persons who has police called on them, said DeRue. One city resident who has gave only his first name, Joshua, showed up at a commission meeting last month to voice opposition. It is good that we, as a community, value leaving people alone and letting them live their lives without fear of discrimination. But we already have laws saying it's illegal to discriminate based on their class, and to create additional redundant legislation does nothing, he said. Juanita Ligon, the mother of the twin boys who were handcuffed last year in Grand Memphis on the false suspicion that one of them was carrying a gun, disagreed. There are too many people calling police on people in community who are just going about their business like they did my sons. Ligon said, my only concern is that police will use the ordinance to blame any wrong thing they do to the community to people who make the 911 calls. In a statement, the city intern police chief, David Kittle, declined to take a position. Lastly, I look forward to the community and stakeholders having an opportunity to weigh in and discuss the proposed ordinance, and I look forward to working with the city as it moves forward, he said. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for sitting there listening. So, living while black. Hell, you know what I'm saying? We got a whole lot of terms, don't we? Right? Black Lives Matter, living while black. You know what I'm saying? DW, what is it? Driving while black, right? A whole lot of different little slogans and terms we had to come up with, right? And I think this is a good thing, right, that they're going to make some kind of legislation to just a little bit dwarf. But again, look at the penalty. It's very small, right? You're not really going to deter somebody who got $250 to throw away. And primarily white people got $250 to throw away, don't they? So a call of a misdemeanor, okay, probably, right? Yeah. Again, it's under the discretion of the police officer whether it was a false one. So again, it's still kind of covering it, ain't you, right? Kind of covering. It's kind of like I seen that video where this one police officer pulled up a whole damn family, right? But there was a mama there. She was up on the game a little bit, and she was like, she had the ambulance come to check because he had slammed the shit out of one of the daughters, right? And so she was like, get the ambulance, but then what it was is he talked her out. One of the ambulance drivers talked her out of getting into the ambulance. And so they went and got a black token dude to come over there and do the paperwork like they really was, but they got out of it. You understand? So, in situations like that, you take everything because you can use it all, the documentation later on. So the same thing here would be when people are calling, it's still under discretion of the police officer. Now, once he determined that it wasn't, but he said that the people who called may have discerned that it might have been. So now you still kind of leaving it kind of, again, you can't really say whether it is, right? And so they say, well, maybe it's going to stop people. No, if people on bullshit, then they're not going to call. But I think you need to make the spine much bigger. I think you need to make it a little bit more as to really having some damage to keep people from doing that. A misdemeanor, okay, I get that, right? But the fine, you said up to $250. That's so you could take them to small claims court and get $250 for them for the inconvenience. What? Wait a minute. What if you go to jail? What if you go on the police? What if you get the race soldier that's gonna take you in, put you in the car, get you down to the station, go through the whole process, then let you out? But you don't went through the aggravation and the frustration of all that. And then I'm going to find out, go through my paperwork, get all that, find out, cost me to do my lawyer, find out who it was, get the call, get you in the court to get $250. Come on, man. You can do better than that. You can do better than that, right? So we're seeing places, again, they get the history of the kind of stuff, Starbucks and little kids getting I just did the other day, the little boy with the spittle mask, right? So, and barbecue Becky and all that stuff. So again, what we see is that it's been a pattern of certain people doing it. And again, it's going to be summer, right? And so again, I think it's a good time to kind of put that in the air. But again, I don't think it's steep enough to make them up and be like, I ain't trying to, come out. Make it $5,000. You know what I'm saying? Hit them up in the pocket so they not bullshitting. $250, motherfucker do that shit just to see to put you through the shit. Your neighbor some shit. Just want to see you go through some shit. And it's $250 is pretty good. I got it on tape, right? Yeah, all kind of shit. So, you got to do something. So again, they're proposing it and hopefully that it goes all through. Look like Grand Rapids, Michigan. Motherfuckers always calling the police on you over there. So anybody in Michigan, know what to tell you, $250 is not worth it, right? So I think somebody need to push some more on that legislation on that. So again, I think that should have been, again, did you hear the dude that was in opposition to it? He said, well, it's already, why? This is a waste of time of legislation. It's already against the law to discriminate somebody about about their class. See? You see how slick that was? Class. Now, nigga, this is race. Race, motherfucker, not class. Your race is racial, not class. So the legislation, see, you don't want that on the books. Now you can hold it against them. It's kind of the same thing like when cops, when we find the bad cop, they end up, killing one of our people innocently, somebody who they had nothing to do with, and then not want to give you the case to justify so that now when somebody else comes, they got cases to use. They don't want to give you that. So that's the same thing he's saying. He trying to dwarf it. No, we don't need. That's just a waste of time. And we already got it on the book that you can't discriminate on bias of class. No, motherfucker, race. Racial. Anyway, moving on. Trying to get that little information for those who may didn't know. They trying to come up with some stuff, right? Now, here, I'm going to change this a little bit here because I thought this story here was, a little sad in it. All right? This story a little sad. All right, check it out. Be right back.
This is shocking.
This is leaked city pod cam video of a mother carrying her 1-year-old who's about to be shot and killed. We are stopping the video before she's shot.
I'm seeing a cold-blooded shooting.
But others continue to watch it on social media, including what happens next.
Of a woman trying to protect her child.
No, no, no.
And going down to the ground after being shot.
Is your heart hurting?
Yeah. That's tough to watch.
On every level, this is outrageous violence.
No one's helping her. Just to see her laying there with the baby.
This shouldn't have been leaked out. This is major misstep by somebody in law enforcement.
Former prosecutor Irv Miller says the thousands of views the video leak has generated could complicate the prosecution of this case, making it difficult to find an unbiased juror or forcing the relocation of a trial. 24-year-old Brittany Hill was in the area of Division and Mason with her 1-year-old when shots were fired. She shielded her young daughter from harm, but the 24-year-old eventually died from the gunfire. 39-year-old Michael Washington and 23-year-old Eric Adams were charged in connection with her death that was caught on surveillance.
It has to come from either the Chicago Police Department or someone in the state's attorney's office. They're the only ones that would have access at this limited period of time.
How many people could that involve?
It could involve dozens.
A police spokesman telling CBS 2 the victim's family deserves better. Investigators have notified the state's attorney's office and opened an investigation to determine who electronically accessed the video and whether anything was released or compromised.
That person, assuming it's a public officer, police officer, state's attorney, could be charged with official misconduct, a Class 3 felony in Illinois.
Wow. That's heavy there. I don't know. Should I read this article? You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot to this story, man. Because, I mean, you got to think about that. It says leaked police video shows mother being shot while holding baby. Right? Video Chicago Police Department footage was leaked on social media that showed the fatal shooting of an unarmed woman holding her baby. CBS Chicago reports the video shows 24-year-old mother Brittany Hill being shot at point-blank range by someone driving by in a car where Chicago. The footage shows Hill shielding her toddler from gunfire. CBS Chicago reported shooting happened about the 1200 block of North Mason Avenue on the far west side around 8:50 a.m. on Tuesday, May 28. The video is from a city camera in the area of Division and Mason. The video shows that Hill gets out of her black sedan. A silver Chevy Impala drives down the street, pulls up to her. According to the police, the occupants got out of the car and began shooting. Hill tried to take cover behind the car and used her body to cover the 1-year-old during the gunfire, according to police spokeswoman Michelle Tunhill. Hill was pronounced dead at Western Suburban Hospital in Oak Park. 9:25 a.m. area, detectives are investigating and believe the shooting was not a random act and that the woman was targeted due to gang conflict. The video footage was leaked on social media without express consent of the Chicago Police Department, who called it an unauthorized release. Police spokeswoman said in a statement on Twitter, "We have notified the state's attorney office and opened an investigation to determine who electronically accessed the video and whether anything was released or compromised." Police have now charged their 9-year-old. Okay, we're going to go into. Okay, so the craziness of that, again, we don't know what this whole thing is about, but again, you know, a lot of times they always say everything gang related, right? And it could be, and it could not be. Could be, you know, a lot of other stuff that's going on. But the video that's being displayed is coming from the city or the state. And so nobody actually had that, like was down there recording. This is coming from, you know, the surveillance cameras that are out there. So how did that video footage get put out there, right? And so, you know, so it kind of compromised, and I guess they figure it's going to make it harder for them to have a fair trial due to the video has been put out there, right? And so either somebody got inside to be it, you know what I'm saying? And no, you know, again, that story will probably develop as time go on, but, you know, again, as I'm saying about earlier about racism and how, you know, the sickness that we see and how we have this, there's hate for one another at times and can't see the value in it, and then it whatever cause, again, we're going all out. And, a mother loses her life, tries to protect her child, which the child seems to have survived or seemed to be fighting for life. And, I just think we just got to do better than this, man. It just seems that we so far from being who we once were. Now, again, depending on what era you come out of, I remember a time when we could be in the park, right? Parks were safe areas. They were safe havens. Those were sacred grounds. You didn't pull that kind of shit that you see a lot of shit that's happening. There used to be codes and rules and ethics to the game about how if you're going to do certain shit when you're going to hit. But all that murky gray area, it's on when it's on, when the sea is on. And so, that not brother, sister, love for each other. We have so much adulation for things that really don't have no real significance. When if you really look at the aspect of when we talk about gang related, and if gangs are fighting against each other, then who you really fighting, because that's not really your enemy, right? You still haven't figured out who that is. And people dying for street corners, hats turned, colors, you know what I'm saying? All kinds of stuff. And it's kind of like, in the totality of all of this, you have not figured out the game and figured out really strategically of who is and who's not. And if you ever could figure that out, then maybe you would stop doing so much of this other stuff. But because of, again, the long history we've been in and all the stuff that done transfer over the time, the sickness has gotten them so blind that they can't see that anymore. And so these kind of stories will continue to keep happening. It's summertime. And this is the time where lots of life will be lost due to the simple fact of just, beefs, disagreements, situations, whether it be about men or a woman and so forth, and so it's like sometimes you got to show these stories just as a reminder that, life is precious, man. And the way we live in the environments we live in, shit, you could be sitting in a house and a bullet come through your window. If you live where the place I live, right? Bullets come through the motherfucking window. You can go to the corner store, motherfucking shit pop up in the goddamn corner store. Down the street, whatever, motherfucker riding by. It just, you know what I'm saying? But how did we get here? Because I know I've been around enough to know the time when it wasn't like that. But today, everybody trying to make this is the way it is and this is the way it has to be. It don't. Because you're not understanding the whole the territory or the terrain of what you're in and what really is your opposition to you. So I just wanted to bring that story, y'all. Couple more, and I got a couple more for you. I got one that's going to end the show real good, though, right? All right, so let's see. Let me go ahead. I got this little short one here. Check this article out right here. Check this out right quick. Let me see. Let's see, where'd it go? I got it right there. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Let me see if anybody in there. Let me see if I got the fam in the house. Let me see. I didn't even look out there. My fault, y'all. Been over here. I got B Mac in the house. What's good, B Mac? What's good with you, sir? Got this one here. We're gonna play this for you right quick. Check this out. I'll be right back. Got a little this here. Rights. What the fuck is this? On students' homework. You know I'm going to say that again. Florida teacher allegedly writes. What the fuck is this? On students' homework. This story was done May the 30th, 2019, coming out of the Fox News. Under the picture caption reads, Florida high school teacher stoked a mother's outrage this week after she allegedly wrote a slang term for vulgarity on her son's homework. This is how it reads. A Florida high school teacher raised eyebrows this week after allegedly writing, "What the fuck is this?" on a student's homework. Melinda Smith, the student's mother, told Panama City WJHG on Tuesday she was shocked when her son showed her his science homework with the comment, "What the fuck is this?" Absolutely no credit written on the top. It wasn't anything about not getting the credit. It was more so the language about the writing to students that was very inappropriate and not acceptable for a teacher whatsoever, Smith said. Her son, whose identity was not released, is a student at Rutherford High School in Panama City. Smith told WJHG that the teacher should be reprimanded. Rutherford Principal Coy Pilson said school officials have been notified of the situation and are conducting an investigation. He also said he has spoken with the teacher and she has apologized. It wasn't clear whether further action would be taken. All right, so we see that again, like I said, the day and age we in, again, depending on what kind of generation you come out of. For me, you know what I'm saying, I remember when we had teachers to tell us, I ain't get shit if you didn't learn because, you know what I'm saying, I'm getting paid anyway, right? And I ain't going to say that we went into class doing some, you know, we be back there cracking jokes and saying shit. I'm pretty sure, you know what I'm saying, that's what kids going to do. We going to do that shit, right? So, but this teacher here done took it to another level. Now, you know, again, you know, we got a lot of, these teachers this day, I know it would be hard as hell to be a teacher today because you got motherfuckers, again, we talking about all the dysfunctionalness that come from a lot of us, not us, but those who are coming up, again, coming from dysfunctional homes. You know, so a lot of people birth, but they not raised. There's a difference between being born and being raised, right? Being raised is somebody took the time to try to teach you some shit, right? Put the game cheese, so I'll tell you a little bit. Let me tell you something. Let me pull your coattail. Let me tell you a little something, right? Being birthed is you just out here. And then you just kind of going through things, learning as you go, getting what else, you know, that kind of shit, right? So what happens when a teacher has a classroom, 30, 40 motherfuckers in there, and all of them just birth, right? So, you know, your teaching style may not be, you know, class sit down, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to call the principal and, you know, or hear the sound, woo, everybody, right? That might work for that. But you might have motherfuckers in there, you can't talk to like that. So this teacher got to the point where she put on the motherfucking paper, "What the fuck is this?" Right? She went, "What the fuck is this shit?" Right? She talking to the motherfucker like straight out, like, "What the fuck is this shit here?" Right? But, you know, a parent seen it, didn't like it, and then when, you know, you should have went to the teacher like, okay, what's, you know, talk to the teacher, right? Like, is he, okay, but is he doing good in the class or he just constantly falling off? Man, you know, sometimes you got some kids, now those who got kids, right? You got kids with some kids, you ain't got to do much. You just tell them shit, right? You getting on them can make them do. Some of them, you got to push them. Some of them, you got to whoop their ass, right? So sometimes you just have certain people that come in your life that because the way they were helped you to be who you became or who you are becoming, right? So this might be a teacher that based on the way, again, it may not be politically correct. It may not be what everybody was seen deemed as professional, but sometimes teaching has to be unorthodox, right? You know, everything don't go like curriculum, right? We're going to write this. Today we're going to do this here. We're going to do everything according to the way I wrote it, right? Like, let's say, for instance, there's a lot of people who are book smart, right? They call it erudition. You book smart as hell. But when you have a situation that don't fall in the shit that your ass learned, now you gotta respond accordingly, right? Do you have what it takes to, again, in a situation when shit don't go according to the way you used to, can you still, you know what I'm saying, do shit the way you need to be done, right? So, teacher just said, "What the fuck is this?" Right? She didn't spell it out. She said WTF. You know, those of us, you know, we understand how to do all this shit on this computer these days. So we put what the fuck, FOH, fuck out of here. And you know, all the shit, right? All the slang shit, right? You know, we always learn the bad shit first before we get into all the other shit. We know the bad Spanish shit, Beta Makuta and all that shit, right? We know all, Mighty Kong, Chongo, Malako, all that bullshit, right? We know all the bad words, see, but I can't speak that shit fluently, but I bet you I know the curse words, right? So that's just part of our shit, right? Well, you know, I don't think it was something that you needed to go trick on them about, right? You could have went to the teacher and be like, "Look, let me hear what she talking about. And I'd be like, make the assessment, be like, that's a good ass teacher. She really trying to get to your ass. And she's saying that shit because your ass, you supposed to get on him. If you win, look, what is this bullshit, right? But, we politically correct. Everything is soft butter today, right? We ain't trying to be, tough with the kids. We trying to make them as soft and fragile as possible. And then think future is going to be good. All right. You ain't hear me say nothing, right? I'm just talking, right? Anyway, moving on. All right. So, again, I got this story here, right? I got a couple more because I'm already at the 2 and a half hour mark. And I know when we was coming up, right? I had some other partners that I was growing up with. They were in this. And they got me to come in there a little bit, right? And that's how you normally do it when we, again, coming out of hoods we come from, right? And there's certain people who, again, a lot of stuff is given to you by other people who done stuff before you, and then they teach you, and then you get it. And then if you just happen to be around them, you'll gain something from them. So let me show what I'm talking about. But this shit didn't happen to me. You know what I'm saying? Nobody that I know, at least nobody didn't talk about that shit. But this what happened. So let me show what I'm talking about. Let me, you know what I'm saying, for those who sit up in here, let me hold something, right? I might ask you to hold something right quick. And then we'll go right into the video after that. So check this out. I'll be right back.
Hundreds of men are accusing their former Boy Scout leaders of sexually abusing them. Many of the men are revisiting these traumatic experiences decades later after a restrictive statute of limitations in New York was modified. Many have recently enlisted legal counsel and are suing the Boy Scouts of America. Now, we should mention we reached out to the Boy Scouts of America for comment. This is what they said. We are outraged that there have been times when individuals took advantage of our programs to abuse innocent children. We believe victims. We support them. We pay for counseling by a provider of their choice, and we encourage them to come forward. Darrell Jackson is one of the men speaking out about the abuse. He joins us now to discuss his experience. Thank you so much, Darrell, for taking the time to speak with us. I can't imagine the terrible things you've been through, and we really appreciate you being here to share your story. Can you give us a little bit of a sense of what happened and what brings you here now?
I really wanted to be with the Boy Scouts. It was something that a lot of people in my neighborhood was in and stuff, and I liked the uniforms. When I got in it, it turned into something else. It was like, it was a ruse, basically. So, the Boy Scout master basically manipulated the people there, right? He would let us do things that our parents wouldn't let us do, like, because we young, you want to drink, oh, wow, I'm getting away with this, He letting me drink, wow, and he portrayed himself as a father figure, too, so you put a lot of trust in him, and he hung out with the parents of the Boy Scouts, so they had a lot of trust in him, too, not knowing what was going on. So basically, when it happened to me, I felt that something was wrong, and I was threatened my family. So basically, I kind of had to continue what I was doing because I was scared. And finally, I just, my heart was like, nah, I can't let this keep going, because I knew inside something was wrong. And I told my grandmother, and at first she didn't believe me. And then, you know, she investigated it and found out that something was wrong with me. She knows her grandson, you know, so that's when she went to the police and found out that this was what happened. And it's like, once I told, it's like I was shunned out throughout the neighborhood. The other Boy Scouts shunned me. And I've been, basically it just messed with me all my life. You know, I grew up fighting, you know, always having to protect myself, trying to prove that I was a man, you know, because of the ridicule.
Why are you choosing to speak out about this now?
Well, I've been trying to speak out about it. You know, I've been trying to speak out ever since, like, in my early 30s. I've been trying to speak out about it. I've been going to psychiatrists all my life, basically. You know, I'm still under psychiatric care, you know, because of this. And this has led to other stuff in my life, you know, me trying to prove that I was a man, you know, and it just interrupted my whole life, everything that I wanted to do, because I never felt comfortable with myself. I was scared to touch my son and everything. You know, it basically led to my marriage being messed up.
What would you like to say to the Boy Scouts of America?
Wow. But what I really want to say to them, I don't think I could say on camera.
What change would you like to see from the Boy Scouts of America?
Well, I guess they need to really have more rules about people that want to be around kids and really scrutinize and watch them, see what type of person this really is, you know?
Thank you for bravely sharing your story with us.
You know what he really wanted to say? Motherfuckers, y'all niggas.
Hey, NBC
bullshit.
News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. So
that's what he wanted to say. You know what he really wanted to say, right? He wanted to really tear him a new ass, right? No point intended, right? So, again, like I was saying, I remember when we came up, had a couple partners who, they had been in Boy Scouts, right? And because I was partners with them, I used to see them in the little blue uniform, you know what I'm saying, little badges and all that, right? Had a little gold, you know what I'm saying, right? And I know I went, and I didn't have that, and I went in there, they was making little cars, you know what I'm saying, little race car, you know, put the buttons in the car, and the go-kart, right? So I was like, man, I want to be a part of that. That's what they look like. Y'all have some fun, right? Now, again, that's the lure, right? That's how they lure your ass in, right? Boys Club, kind of like in those who know the Bible when they talk about agape, right? You're talking about the agape love. Now, if you really take and search that word agape, it ain't going to be the kind of love you think they talking about. They talking about why that cross got a big palace, a big cross and a little cross. Meaning agape love is kind of like that's that whole thing why the church got all that up in there. So when they talking about Boys Club, just like the YMCA, right? Well, somebody had a grandiose idea. This is a good way for me to, you know what I'm saying, groom me, you know what I'm saying, give me some young tender booty, huh? Right now, again, for those who may hear me and this may have happened, my condolences to you, you know what I'm saying? I'm not making light of fun of that situation. I'm just saying, in particular, we just got to look at this for what it is. See, again, we fall victims to a lot of this stuff because, again, under the subjugation of the history we've been in, everything that's been, you know, our learned process and the things that we've gone through is through somebody else's and their history and what it is. And sometimes we don't be understanding the totality of the origins of where this stuff is coming from. It's still new to us, right? I remember, those who might know as well, you come from where I come from, I remember when they used to have Sunday school buses coming from out of state that would come up in the hood and pick up the kids And parents would let their kids get on that damn bus and go from the city or state they in to another state to go to church on Sunday, trusting them, singing songs like 10 Little Indians all dressed in white, trying to get to heaven on the end of the kite. But you know that song, when I remember I did that about the origins of that, ain't really 10 Little Indian, it's 10 Little Niggas, right? Had us singing that, you understand? And, you know, a lot of stuff could have happened in the process. A lot of stuff did happen. Matter of fact, just recently, for the last two Sundays ago, okay? I know one Sunday I heard this big ass bus run across my window. And I was like, that's a loud ass motherfucking bus. What did I look out the window? She's a big ass school bus. Got on that, got that county glass. You know, tinted up. You can't even see the motherfucker, right? And I said, little girl that lived down a couple doors down from me, she getting on the bus by herself. And I said, I know what that bus is. That's that bus that take motherfuckers back over to the other state for church. And I'm saying, they still doing that shit in 2019? Black folks still letting their kids do that? Girl gone, right? That was in that morning. Shit, about 8:30, 9:30, here come the bus. I said, what? And guess what? Mama still wasn't even at home. They were still out there trying to get in. Still trying to get in. So I'm looking out the window and I yell out the window, don't let your goddamn kid go on that goddamn bus like that. Now, I wish he heard me or not, because then the next Sunday come, motherfucker out there blowing, nobody come out. Nobody ain't come out. Girl didn't come out, she ain't let him go. Like a good neighbor, right? You don't let your kids be doing. See, the same thing with the Boy Scout. See, if you just in there, you know what I'm saying, you camaraderie, you meeting people, you being in there, but again, you don't be knowing who these scoutmasters is, right? Same thing with the church. They get them in there, and they be altar boys, and altar boys. They altering you, right? See? So trustworthy. YMCA, shit. Young man. And then we come to find out what that's all about. Young man. Then don't need to get down. I say, young man, right? Don't be mad. What you live for? What you getting mad for, man? It is what it is, right? So I'm just saying, man, again, for a PSA message again, you see that brother that was in there, he hurt, he distraught, and he's trying to get some kind of what? He's trying to get some of that off of him. And he's trying to get a check. See, that's a good way to think about it. Black folks who might be hearing me. That's a good way to get a goddamn check. Go back on the motherfucker and say, hey, that motherfucker was in there touching me, man, back in the day, man. I need a check. Shit, look at the condition we in anyway, right? So somebody might be having that kind of idea they think of going back. But again, I'm not making light or fun of the situation because again, it affects a lot of people. You're talking about a lot. We couldn't even fathom the numbers that how many people being in and ushered in and out in those kind of facilities, these kind of groups and these, right? So we couldn't even fathom because, I mean, look at what was going on. That's what they used R. Kelly to block about what was going on with the Vatican Church. Remember, everybody was looking at R. Kelly when I was looking over there and seeing all the shit that was going on over there. But a lot of people didn't even hear all that shit that was going on over there. So all this shit is tied in together. So I'm just saying, man, be mindful. If you're going to have your kids, brother, have them with people. Don't be in there by themselves because, they'll be doing all kind of shit. So anyway, PSA moving on. All right, let's see. I got, all right, this one here. I got to do this one. Then I got one more to go in the show. I may open the phone if somebody decide they want to call. Probably not, but check this out.
Death in Paradise. Two American tour.
Hold on, Mike. Hold on. You're going too fast now. Slow your roll. All right, so check this out. Now, the reason why I'm playing this is because, again, like I said earlier about being mindful. And with the brother and sister was going out there picnicking. Same thing if you're going traveling. Right, you travel to another country. Everybody you want to go vacation. You want to go to these other countries. Better be mindful because this shit happens. Right, check it out. Be right back.
Death in Paradise. Two American tourists found dead in their hotel room in the Dominican Republic on the day they were scheduled to check out. ABC's Paula Ferris is here with the story. Good morning, Paula.
And Michael, good morning to you. This couple was sharing photos on social media, in love, having the time of their lives in the Dominican, saying that they didn't want to come home. And tragically, they won't be. This morning, new questions are emerging after a Maryland couple was discovered dead at a luxury Dominican resort. These Facebook photos show 49-year-old Cynthia Day and her fiancé, 63-year-old Nathaniel Holmes, who'd been vacationing here at the Bahia Principe Resort, where they had been for nearly a week. Nathaniel writes on Facebook, "I don't want to come home." They were expected to check out last Thursday, and that's when they were discovered. The Dominican Republic National Police tell us that an autopsy showed the couple experienced respiratory failure and pulmonary edema, or excess fluid in the lungs. They also noted that inside the room of the couple were several bottles of medicine used to treat high blood pressure. But Holmes' daughter tells NBC,
"It shouldn't have never happened."
The country is now facing questions about safety for tourists who stay at these resorts. It comes just months after an American tourist, Tammy Lawrence, says she was brutally attacked by a man in another Dominican resort. She spoke to ABC station WPVI last week.
He just plowed into my back. And I just remember that grunt that he made when he hit me. It's like in my nightmares. He, at that point, started choking me, strangling me.
Day and Holmes are the second American couple to die in the Dominican Republic since March, and there are growing concerns over how local authorities are handling these suspicious deaths. Congress has asked the FBI to investigate the death of a New York couple after they were reportedly killed in a late-night car crash en route to the airport from their resort. As for Cynthia and Nathaniel, there are reportedly no signs of violence in the room. The autopsies concluded respiratory failure, but they are awaiting toxicology results. But Michael, for all these families involved, they want answers as to how the local authorities in the DR are handling these investigations.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News.
All right. So we see a brother and sister went to the Dominican Republic for a little vacation. Let me say, Furious Guy, what's good? Hey, what's good to you, brother? I didn't mean to forget to say what's good to you. So just in case, I hope you're still up in here. Went on vacation, right? You know how it is. You built up, you want to try to do some things, right? They did try to do it, and seemed like on their way, something happened, right? Right? Again, man, it's not, again, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a pessimistic, I'm an optimistic, but I'm a realist. See, I understand because, I read news every day, right? That's why I read all this stuff, because I read all this stuff all the goddamn time. So what I'm saying is, because if you understand what's going on, then when you traveling in places, you understand what's going on, because how our people here going through certain things in a certain way. You're going in these other countries. It's more devastating than it is here, and you look like a mark that I can pick. You understand? Because you on them resorts, and them resorts, they know you there and you got some money. You ain't there with no money, so you a mark, and so you know what I'm saying. So you might be targeted. And so you got to be mindful of that, man. You know what I'm saying? I know you try and go there and it's being romantic and, want to do some of that and relax and all. But we got to be, being an American, you understand? Put it this way. Being an American, you may still get what the American get. You get what I'm saying? Okay, understand the language I'm saying. The American, as you know, those who've been watching my show, American means those. You got a hyphenation on your American. You black American, right? So you as an American going somewhere else can still catch what the American get because you become the consolation prize. You know what I'm saying? You the runner up. I can't get that one, but I can get this one. Because I know you ain't here with nothing. I can't get 10 out this pocket, but I might get 5 out of your pocket. You get what I'm saying? And so it's a shame that these brothers and sisters had to lose their life just on vacation. But again, that you got to understand, you in places where, people are very impoverished, and then you got to understand what's being done in these lands and how these lands, why so many people are coming here, migrating here. You have to be mindful of that, because otherwise you walking into a motherfucking town. It's kind of like people saying, let's pick up and go to Africa. Look, I am African by descent of way through my ancestors. But I read enough to know if you picking up and leaving, better understand what you're going into. That's all I'm saying. Know what you're going into. Yes, it's the black continent. Yes, it is the land of our fathers and ancestors and so forth. But you see all the other players up in there? You don't think ain't no plan in that? Now, if your job and your plan ain't to go in there to be a part of that, to facilitate the fruition of that, then I don't understand all this advocating. Now, I'm not saying that it's better here, that all the things that people say, well, you won't sit here, the white man loves man, and the way they treating you. Sometimes it's better to know who you're dealing with than to go to some situation and not know who you're dealing with. Because, see, at least we know what certain motherfuckers look like, certain sellouts and coons, and we understand, we know what that is, and then we understand who the opposition, and then some motherfuckers, they do cloaking, you can't tell. But to go to a whole new terrain, nothing I know, no one can't, somebody gonna give me a DNA test talking about this is my family from this area, but you can't tell me which family I can knock on the door and be like, I'm family. That ain't gonna work. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. So anyway, you just got to be mindful. When you going in these other places, understand, just like when you in the hoods and new areas, and when you traveling to and fro different communities and blocks, you know what this gang is on, what these motherfuckers are about. You got to know all that. Can't just be picking up and going no more, man. It ain't like that no more. Don't let nobody fool you with that shit. It ain't like that no more. Motherfuckers is thirsty and hungry out here. Everybody looking for a come up. So anyway, kudos to that family and so forth. And I say, the Black Mind Zoos are coming up. All right, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. I see people running up out of here. I know I done held you long enough. So check this out. I'm going to end it on this. I'm going to let this little sister here tell it like a T.I. is, right? I'm going to let her do it like a T.I. is, right? Let her do it like a T.I. is. I'm going to end it out on that. Matter of fact, let me say what's up to everybody in here. Let's see, because she gonna end out the show. Hold on, let me...
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hold on. What you doing? Slow down. This thing has been... they really up in here messing with me, huh? They back in here again. After I had got them out, they back up in here. All right, so we're going to do it like this, y'all. I want to thank everybody who did show up in here tonight or today, right? And, again, I'm trying to get on as much as I can because, again, they've been trying to hold me out. I got a lot of things in the background you just don't know. But we're going to try to do what we do. I would open up the phone line, but I see got a couple people up in here. People that be kind of coming in and out. I offended a couple people, but it's all right. Truth always going to offend, and you're always going to be like that, so it is what it is. So let me go ahead and let this little sister give you something to chew on before we end the show. All right, check this out. Check this out. This little sister right here, man, she put it down. So check this out. And stay black, love, peace, and all that to the next show. See y'all, man. Peace and love.
At the age of 7, my family immigrates from Zimbabwe to Aotearoa. I pass through customs, but my culture is made to stay behind. In the classroom, I am afraid my tongue will beat back to its African rhythm, be concussed by fear, have amnesia, turn all its memories to dust. Yesterday I was African, today I am lost. Maybe I was blinded by the neon sign of opportunity. The best way I know how to share the perspective of those I represent as a black immigrant woman is through my writing. So I make poetry and I decide to send it to the man who sat behind me on the train last week, who had the audacity to touch my hair without asking. I didn't say anything, which is crazy because I almost always have something to say. But in that moment, like my split ends, my mouth was almost too dry to speak. Luckily, my hair speaks volumes. Tangled and twisted, there are stories in these curls, stories of a mother, father, stamped with a number, marked as objects, sold as property. Stories of my ancestors who were shackled in cages, displayed in zoos. The same way you stroke me like an exhibit in a petting zoo, it's twisted. And it's tangled, but there are stories in these curls, a beautiful position of my history's oppression. And you look at me like I am Medusa's child, cursed, I'm making everyone blind to my self-worth, and for years I tried to strip myself of this curse with the potion of chemicals. Despite the burn of sodium hydroxide on my scalp, the smell of burning flesh which filled the room, I was hypnotized at the prospect of having straight hair cascade this broken body of insecurity, hoping to put myself back together with glued in weave tracks, causing receding hairlines as I mentally recede back in time to a time of my ancestors' inferiority, to a time of no authority, forever believing that I was the target minority. And you can't tell me to tame this mane, because in fact you are the lion. And in this jungle where racism runs wild, I am your prey, you are my predator, devouring my history, leaving me so raw that my own flesh builds a grave for me to lie in. I'm buried deep in my roots. So dear racism, I am choosing to rewrite the history you gave me, because I know the future belongs to those who prepare for it. And you have been preparing me for centuries.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
I'm here to tell you tonight that the businessmen, the mayor of this city, the police commissioner of this city, and everybody in the white power structure of this city must take a responsibility for everything.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it?
Luther and I and everyone in this arena tonight are unified by the same great American values. We're proud of our country. We respect our flag. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
Race is when you use your power and influence to subject people into inferiority. Utterances can't be racist.
Look around you, man. They own this shit. They own this couch you sitting on, them shoes you got on your feet, this building, this school, this country, you. We're behind enemy lines, dog.
So you must first of all remember that this system was not originally designed with black people in mind. Right on. And it definitely was not prepared for black people to, in the end, begin to demand their rights and an equal share in this country which they died for. Right on. Hey, and we definitely are not going back to Africa.
In the church, we used to sing the song, "Good news, the chariot is coming." While you sit here today, knowing that you have come to hear good news, you must realize in advance what good news for you might be bad news for somebody else. What good news for the sheep might be bad news to the world.
They say, oh, things are getting so much better for you. In 1849, it was hitting blacks on the head 100 times a day. In 1990, they hit them 48 times a day. Isn't it better? Oh, it's got to be better. You're saying 52 blows.
The only purpose of most black Americans on earth today is to destroy.
I think that's noble. Italians love Italians. When Irish love Irish. But when a nigga loves a nigga, it's an unpardonable sin. They have blood in their hands. When we say they have blood in their hands, we are not saying him, George Bezos, went and killed. But white people colonized us. They dispersed us. They enslaved our people. They sucked our economy dry. They are still sucking it dry even today. That's white people. Tony Blair, George Bush, Napoleon Bonaparte, Leopold, Adolf Hitler, Benjamin Netanyahu. all white people, they are the same. They are racist and they are full of hate.
I've been waiting for you. You have many questions, and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concordantly, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant.
Why am I here?
Our world is coming crumbling down. The coons are coming.
You got to understand that white America has an uncanny way of making the victim the victimizer. Excuse me, master, for putting my head in the way of your club. Not that your club is brutalizing my head and putting hickeys on it. My head got in the way of your free swing and broke your shiny stick, and I want to apologize for that.
Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control, which has led you inexorably here.
There are more connections in the human body than there are stars in the galaxy. We possess a gigantic network of information to which we have almost no access.
Matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the sixth version.
5 months before me. 3. There are only 2 possible explanations. They were 5 months before me. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
Precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Control me! I'm gonna smash you to fucking kill you! You can't make me do anything like trick! Choice. The problem is choice.
Let us remember that we are not brutalized because we're Baptists. We're not brutalized because we're Methodists. We're not brutalized because we're Muslims. We're not brutalized because we're Catholics. We're brutalized because we are black people in America.
Because white people made him to be what he is. They made him to look evil, because that's their role, to make all of us black people to look evil and to hate ourselves. I can't hate.
You're a nigga till you die. If you're a poor nigga, you're a poor nigga. If you're a rich nigga, you're a rich nigga. But you never stop being a nigga, and if you get to be educated, you're just an educated nigga.
Well, I'm told every day I'm on air that I'm racist because I call out racism. That is maddening to me, and I'm crying about it because it's crazy.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching you and I and trying to tell the white man to get this powder keg out of his house. Let the black man separate from his house. Let the black man have his own house. Let the black man have his own land and his own property.
I thought the bitch was white! Damn it! I thought the bitch was white!
That's true.
I think that white people are so guilty, knowing what they've done to black people, that they feel if the deeds were reversed, they would hate the black man if he had done the same thing to them. So it's actually, it reflects a guilt complex on the part of whites when they ask us, do we hate them? And if you notice, Uncle Sam has formed a habit of going all over the world. He calls it the ugly American, or the American image. He thinks that everybody hates him because it's a guilt complex. And if you think that if you are worried about Europeans hating you, and they're your allies and your cousins, well, naturally it would follow for you to think that Negroes in this country would hate you, especially in light of what has been done to black people in this country by white people.
Now, check it out. The white ball dominates everything, right? Knocks the shit out the yellow ball, the red ball, right? And the game's over when the white ball drives the black ball completely off the table.
But you have to see that all of this is hypocrisy.
I love Malcolm. Malcolm called me the Sunday that he died. I was working Basin Street East. He said, Brother Greg, you coming by today? And I said, Malcolm, I love you. And I said, I love you so much, I don't even want to take a chance be there. He said, what do you mean, Brother Greg? I said, well, I close tonight, Sunday night at Basin Street East. And I said, but I had my wife book me a flight into Chicago at 8 o'clock this morning. And I'm going to Chicago, and I had way beneath my salary booked me into a college about 10 miles from the airport. And I'm going to go there and speak this afternoon, and I'm going to stay there until they tell me you dead. Because I'm not going to let this government get two of us for the price of one. And I'm going to call Adam Clayton Powell when I finish talking to you and beg him not to come there. Because today, the United States government is going to get you.